Round 9 of the 2026 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, your AMA National Championship rolls up to 4848 atop Snowshoe Ski Resort for the Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC. Grant Baylor added his name to the list of XC1 riders capable of stealing a win. Who is going to mount themselves as the king of the mountain here at Snowshoe? It's time to find out and go racing right here on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Look at that. That is a full XC1.
Is this a NASCAR race? Bill Manfred making his way by. Got a ton of pressure now from Stu Baylor.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Stu hauling the nail.
Stu is one of the most gritty riders out there.
Stu Baylor on a charge, taking the lead.
Baylor feeling feisty here today. We better watch out.
Here comes the 557 machine. Camp Coker 2026.
Stu Baylor going to get the job done and mark himself as the second two-time winner of the 2026 season.
3 hours is a long time. 3 hours of racing is not.
I know I can show up and I know I can win on any given week.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 9 of the 2026 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. This is the Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC. Jackson, this is one of the fan favorites. It's one of our favorites, and it's good to be back here at 4848.
Yeah, it sure is, Zach. Just like I said for our ATV day, one of the most scenic GNCC races of the year, possibly one of the most scenic races in the entire world, period.
I agree.
It is so good to be back here at Snowshoe Mountain, and it is good to knock some wheels off and go dirt bike racing here on a Sunday. Zach, it's anybody's guess who's going to be at the top of the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Everybody gets hyped up. Don't get me wrong. ATV Day is a big part of Snowshoe, right? You've got the Howard's Hole festivities, and the bikes, they're going through Howard's Hole as well, but so different the way we get to see the motorcycles traverse through that section compared to the ATVs. Looks a little bit different as well, but like you said, the battles throughout this season have been incredible, and at our last round, the Grizzly, Grant Baylor, throws his name in the hats of XC1 riders capable of snagging a win at any time.
Yeah, Zach, and speaking of Grant Baylor and that Rocky Mountain Red Bear team, we know they have what it takes to get it done here at Snowshoe as well. Josh Toth taking last year's win. Stu Baylor, he was right there, just bike links behind them. So that Rocky Mountain Red Bear team definitely going to be one to watch out for here today.
No doubt about it. Now, interesting story at the top of the XC1 points. It's the rider that is yet to get an XC1 win, the Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper, that is still out front with your points lead. A second place at our last round. And you talk to Liam on mic, you talk to him off camera, you get the same answer, one race at a time. But you got to think, Jackson, we're headed into summer break. Liam Draper has put himself in a fantastic spot. He's got Jordan Ashburn and Craig DeLong right behind him, but the Ampro Yamaha's got to be pretty satisfied with 2026 so far.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Zach, and I think you spoke well for him there. He said that he just wants to get into this one, get through this race, and head off into what is going to be a good summer break. Zach, I'm very excited here for the day. We saw consistency is paying here in 2026. Not only is Liam Draper sitting at the top of the points, he's still not got a win in the 450 in the Open Pro class at all.
Yep.
Craig DeLong, also no wins here in 2026, finds himself sitting in our top 3 points.
Well, we know the competition is fierce, and so many riders are capable of taking a win at any moment, but Snowshoe is one of those tracks where if you feel comfortable on it, this is one you've been looking forward to all season long. Speaking of our course, we were able to catch up with our trail boss, Jared Bolton, a bit earlier for a course description.
Well, thanks, guys. Welcome back to Snowshoe Mountain. Feels like we were just here, but that was a year ago. And guess what? We're back on the mountain for the toughest, gnarliest, most unique GNCC of all. When you come to Snowshoe Mountain, you think picturesque views, but that all disappears really quickly once you drop off the side of this mountain. There's 2 distinct fields here. You go off on the first side of the mountain, off on the east side. It's really fast. Then you get into Howard's Hole and it gets really gnarly, rocky, muddy, nasty. And then you get a little bit of a break up and down the ski slopes for a little while. And then you head out on the west side and basically there is no break for quite a while. The west side of the mountain's gnarly, rocky, muddy, rooty, non-stop. From the time you drop off the west side to the time you come back up to the pro pits, you're looking for a breather. And guess what? That's only one lap. Once you get back around out of the pro pits, it's wide open back to the finish, and then you're starting the whole thing all over again. That's what makes Snowshoe so tough, so unique. There's only a couple of times you get a break, and it's a serious challenge for any racer. It's gonna be a great weekend of racing.
All right, there we get to hear it from the man himself, Mr. Jared Bolton. And now, Zach, just about time to head over to the starting line for me, make some 10-second calls, and get this race underway.
There we go. Green flag getting ready to fly. This is round 9, the Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike.
The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank. Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom.
How's it going?
We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
It's bogging off the bottom.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night.
All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, everyone, we would like to welcome you watching live from Flow Racing and Racer TV. Good to have you all with us. We invite the best racers in the world all here atop of Snowshoe Mountain to go head-to-head for 3 hours. And now we invite everybody watching live on Flow Racing to come along with us. It is going to be a big day here today on a brief holding pattern as we wait for the OK Safe to Race. Going to get our trail cleared out from our AM race, the 2-hour race just getting finished up. It is a muddy, gnarly one here today at Snowshoe. So we're going to get all those riders clean and clear and off the track. And then we will be ready to finish out our opening ceremonies where we're going to introduce to you the 2 starting rows, your XC1 and one of your XC2 riders. Going to be a big day here for round number 9. The Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC. Going to turn the microphone over now to our event director, Mr. Tim Cotter.
Hey, thank you, Jackson. Hey, we're listening to the radio chatter. They're still cleaning up the racetrack, so we're going to be on a little bit of a hold, so just bear with us a moment. I'd like to bring Steve Nessel out. Steve Nessel, Yamaha Corporate, our title sponsor here today. Now, Yamaha just doesn't come out and put a few banners up and put a few bikes under a tent. They actually ride the course. And Steve, let me help you over here because I know you're sore. You actually rode yesterday.
Yes, sir, I did. I rode the morning race with 200 plus other people, and it's amazing what these guys go through for 3 hours.
I saw your ATV. It looks like you hit every tree on the mountain.
We were supposed to keep that to ourselves. Yeah, the ATV and its durability is what got me through, had me finish. Thank goodness for it. Again, it's an experience. It's one I'm glad I checked off here at Snowshoe because this is an iconic place and a great place to do that. I don't know when I'll do it again, but yeah, thank you to my Grizzly.
Yeah, so you came up here from Georgia. You got up here in the mountains. It was chilly. It was foggy. It was all those things you're not used to. And then you had all the thousands of fans around this racetrack. And that's really why Yamaha gets involved. It's all about adventure.
It's about adventure. It's about community. And if I'm honest, I wish no one knew I had raced yesterday morning, so thank you for this. But no, yeah, I wanted to experience what those racers experience and why the fans come out in force, why this community loves this sport so much. And it's unique. There's nothing else like it, and that's why we support it, is the community aspect of it. Everybody out here either has done it or appreciates it to the nth degree, and that's why we support it.
And when you come up to the Northeast, there's a lot of folks that ride these every weekend. They may not race them like they are here today, but you got Hatfield-McCoy trails, and there's all kinds of trail systems up in here. And so you guys spend a lot of time in the West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio area.
Yes, 2 wheels and 4 wheels. It's about adventure. It's about getting outdoors. It's about spending time with friends and family. We even have a program to help keep our public places, our open spaces open. So we're invested in this, quite literally. And so it pays for us to come out here, spend some time to take part in what our friends, our family, our consumers do and love. And we like to think that we have done it. Now, we can't do it at the level a lot of them do it, but that's okay because that's what pushes the people to get out on weekends, work the week to get to the weekend, come out and have fun, and continue to support the sport.
You know, the Blue Crew is a very innovative group. They came up with GNCC University, where we came up here and we taught kids how to ride or ride better. Most of them were already racers, but we took the Yamaha athletes, both 2-wheel and 4-wheel, and worked several days with kids and really learned to hone their skills. They still do that on the moto side. They also do it on the off-road side from time to time throughout the summer. And so they're here to try to get everyone else to be better. And they're also R&D on their machines. You know, they look every week what happens, what's failing, what's working, and that's how they make a better motorcycle and ATV.
Absolutely. It's voice. It's community support from Yamaha to our family of consumers and brand advocates. I'm glad you bring up Blue Crew. If you're a Yamaha owner and you want to be part of Blue Crew, all you got to do is go to our site and register. You'll find your way to some of those events you talked about, both off-road, moto, even on the ATV side. We welcome anybody that owns a Yamaha to become part of Blue Crew. That way we can show you how much we appreciate your support.
Wait a minute. All I got to do is be a Yamaha owner, have a bike?
Yeah, you need to go buy one, Tim.
So if I had a bike or an ATV and I go to your website and I sign up, I'm part of the Blue Crew.
Yes, sir, you're part of the Blue Crew.
And then I can go to some of those events.
You can go to some of those events. We're working on for people that are Blue Crew members. Specials coming out usually on the monthly. Those special invites you talked about. We're having a Tenere Trek, Tenere 7 owners rally in a few months. Going to be about Blue Crew. So yeah, it's about a big family.
Wow. I always thought I had to be a good racer to be a part of the Blue Crew. If you've got a blue bike, if you've got a Yamaha bike, you can be part of that Blue Crew. Just search it, look it on the website, or do you know the website off the top of your head? That was a trick question.
No, it's not. YamahaMotorsports.com can send you there. Otherwise, we can send a link to the database of GNCC participants, and we'll figure out a way to get you into the family.
All right, be a part of that Blue Crew. Steve, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your continued support, not only of this race, but GNCC racing in general. You guys are at every event. You're supporting the riders, you're supporting the events, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. We love it. That's why we're here. Thank you to everybody here.
Steve Nessel from Yamaha. So good to have him. Yeah, give him a round of applause. All right, so they tell me the sweep riders are at the 12-mile marker. They still got to get here to the finish, and then they've got to make a few changes, and so we'll be going here momentarily. I think it's time that we line these folks up. Let's talk to Mikey first. Mikey Valash is the vice president of Snowshoe Mountain Resort. Can you imagine us coming up to this mountain and what kind of work they have to do to get ready for us? And then once you leave, how much work they have to do. So before I let Mikey talk, I'm going to challenge all of you to make sure that you pick up your trash, pick up the area in which you were. Make sure your condo is in pretty good shape when you leave. Get all the trash picked up because we want to come back. We want to continue to come back like places like this. It's the only racetrack I know of that you can go to Starbucks on the way to the starting line. Amen? That's a big plus, is it not? So, Mikey, thank you for allowing us to come.
Thank you, Tim. And thank you, GNCC family. Thanks for being here, spending your weekend with us here at Snowshoe. We look forward to it every year, and we'll be back in 2027. So thank you guys for being here, and we're ready for a big race here for the pros. So thank you, and have a safe trip home, and we'll see you next year.
All right, Mikey. Hey, remember they ski here too. If you go snow skiing, this is a primo spot to come and do it. So we encourage you to come back and do it. So now I think we're ready to introduce the top off-road racers in the world.
All right, everybody, without any further ado, we are going to start calling to you your starting rows. Starting off with row number 2. Rolling to the line first will be the number 8 machine, making his way from North Carolina on the Phoenix Racing Honda machine, Mike Witkowski. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the 7 machine, the Liqui Moly Factory Beta Racing back to Beta machine, now calling North Carolina home. Let's give a West Virginia welcome to Josh Strain. Rolling to the line next, the 314 Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki of Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 557 Ampro Yamaha from Boonville, North Carolina, say hello to Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line next to finish out row number 2, making his way from the XC2 class, your points leader aboard the number 6 Phoenix Racing Honda from Australia, say hello to Angus Reardon. Next up, row number 1 here for round number 9. Rolling to the line first, it will be your points leader aboard the 198 Ampro Yamaha, now calling Pennsylvania home. Let's welcome Liam Draper. Rolling to the line next, it will be the number 3 machine, making his way from Tennessee on the Phoenix Racing Honda, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 342 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Ride from Pennsylvania, Craig DeLong. Up next will be the number 1 machine, your defending champion from Connecticut on the FMF KTM Factory Racing Backed Ride, Ben Kelly. And the rider that has already made his way over to the line, one of the fan favorites, the 514 Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki from Donald, South Carolina, Stu Baylor. And that, my friends, will be your starting lineup. As I always say, if you are on the front row of a progressive Grand National Cross Country, you are one of the best of the best. And now we're going to throw the microphone back over to our event director, Mr. Tim Cotter.
Thank you very much, Jackson. As we get ready to start this race, We wanted everyone to see that the overall award here today is fitting. It's a endless summer, or never summer snowboard. It is the overall championship award for these riders. They are racing for this board, but more importantly, they are racing for the champion of the Snowshoe Mountain Resort, the hardest, most toughest race in all of America. Ladies and gentlemen, everything we do here at Racer Productions is based on the 5 F's. It has to be fun. It has to include our families. It has to be fair. And it has to have faith. We have to have faith in our Lord, faith in one another, and faith in ourselves. And today, as we always do before we start every race, we go to Ricky Towery, where he will get us in an attitude of prayer and get our hearts and mind ready to go racing.
Thank you, Tim. Hey, let's go to the Lord this afternoon. Let's have a little word of prayer together. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for bringing us all back together safely to such a beautiful place. We know the rains fell all weekend. It's a little slick out there. We just ask that you would watch over these riders this afternoon, that you would keep them safe. Once again, thank you for the Snowshoe family, for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to bless that family and watch over them. Our military men and women, protect them each and every day. They keep us safe and they keep us free so we can come out here and have some fun together. Our leaders at the high level and the local level, let them always make the right decisions for our country each and every day. Be with our local policemen, firemen, and paramedics, and all our communities across the United States every day, watching over us and protecting us. Lord, we come down to the final race before the summer break. We've already had so much fun this spring and this summer. We've raced in the mud, we raced in the dust. It don't matter what the conditions are, you always let us have fun. And we thank you for that. Lord, I have a special request. I just ask that you be with the Racer Production crew. They don't get a summer break. They just keep on going. Watch over them and let them have a safe summer. Lord, later on this afternoon, we're going to start going back down the road going home. We ask that you would take us all back home safely so that one day we'll get back together like this and we'll have us some more fun. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ricky. And that final F is for the American flag. Folks, look left and right. Someone next to you fought for our country. They serve our communities. They keep us safe. And that's the reason we are free here today. So please, all rise, remove those hats, and let's join singing as we honor America.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
everybody, we are just about ready to set it off now here at round number 9 of the 2026 season. The Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC. Just about ready to take off as they get ready to head into the Snowshoe Mountain. The rain's starting to fall once again. It is going to be one of the toughest and roughest races of the year. Ricky Towery going to make his way down through Snowshoe Drive as we get set to roll now. The rain starts to fall. Ricky waits for the okay, safe to race. Ricky's going to make his way down through Snowshoe Drive. You'll need to keep your eyes. If you're one of our racers on Snowshoe Drive right now, keep your eyes on Ricky Towery. Make sure to move up slowly with your row. Stay with your row until you get the green flag from Ricky. And that will be your signal that you are officially off and racing. And the anticipation builds as all eyes turn to Ricky Towery. Once again, folks, we are just about ready now. Our riders on row number 1 getting fired up. Zach, this is going to be a good one here today.
Yeah, I tell you what, Jackson, just made my way over to the Mobile Entertainment Activation Transport. I tell you what's interesting to me is where these riders are lining up. Jordan Ashburn all the way to the inside. He's really going to have to slow that Phoenix Honda down to hug the inside. Meanwhile, Big Bad Stu Baylor way on the outside. This guy gets a good jump. He can just cut across the entire starting row. It's just about time to throw the green flag. Let's go racing.
It sure is. Ricky Towery now going to make his way up Snowshoe Drive. We are officially ready to roll. Ricky makes his way down our starting row. He makes sure our riders are ready to roll. And here we go, everybody. The blue flag waves. The blue flag waves as we are just about ready now with row number 1 in 10 seconds. For Ben Kelly, Jordan Ashburn, Liam Draper, Craig DeLong, and Stu Baylor. Up the inside goes Craig DeLong on a slippery Snowshoe Drive. And Craig gonna lead them through. Here we go, row number 2 now. Angus Reardon, Josh Strang, Mike Wachowski, Grant Baylor, and Caleb Russell. And it looks like Wachowski gonna lead them through. XC2 now, Grant Davis, Jack Walker, Jason Tino, Brody Johnson, and Ryder Lafferty here for row number 3. Some of our XC1 mixed in as well. Gavin Simon and Hunter Smith now off and rolling with row number 4. Row number 5 getting set to roll as the rain continues to fall here at Snowshoe. Josh Toth, the lone soldier in row number 5, off and rolling. Row number 6, Toby Cleveland and Jason Lipscomb. Drag race into turn number 1. Now our next row, row number 9, our 258 riders off and rolling. Lane Whitmer, Colton Shields, Chase Landers, and Caleb Boyd. Row 10, Ryan Piper, Dylan McDonald, Cooper Jones, James Jenkins, Chase Davis, and Lane Smith. Some more of our 250A riders off and rolling. Collier Martinez, Caleb Slagle, Nathan Atkins, and Justin Atkins now off and rolling with row number 11. Row number 12, our Open A, Cole Whitmer, Van Adams, Will Siebenpiper, and Trevor Holland off and rolling. Whitmer gonna grab the whole shot. Next row, off and rolling. Kean Rupp in that one as well. Here we go, row 13, Samuel Evans, Alan Atkins, Low Ward, Ezra Prine, Easton Uplinger, and Cole Smith. Ruger Morgan and Tyler Hamrick now off and rolling with row number 14. As the green flag flies for row number 15, Braden Baisley, Ethan Harwell, Ryan Amoncio, Jake Spustini, and Willie Tucker off and rolling. Row 16, Brody Amos, Logan Pellegrini, Cooper Duff, Carlo Clary, Nash Pearson, and Kel Kirkman. Row 17, Doc Smith, Lennox Riley, Joseph Sheelot, Cade Stats, Bodie Wallner, and Mason Potter. Row 18, Ken Connery, Colin Justin, Colton Barber, Keaton Dickin, and Brady Weimer headed off into the woods of Snowshoe. Charlie Simpson, Colton McQuarrie, Landon Barker, and Gabriel Jimenez now off and rolling. Green flag flies for the lone soldier in row 20, Tiachi Nishimura. Oh, getting slideways with it, as Zach would say. Here we go, row 22, Russell Smith, Tyler Braniff, Eli Childers, and Wyatt Ford. Row 23, Deshaun Horton, Sam Hall, Aaron Higgins, and Braden Moore. 3-6-7 gonna get the job done. Here we go, row 24, Kevin Donovan and Zachariah Tinky. Row 25, Robbie Norwood, Michael Durasco, Matt Modick, Sammy Doris, and Andrew Boggs. Some Bet A 30-plus riders headed off. To finish out the Bet A, Lauren George, Dakota Tenney, Zach Gaines, Dennis Balakton, Ronnie Vance, Jesse Kiddo, and Josh Lewis. Tyler Serrano, Brian Smith, Sawyer Coutura, Dylan Davis, and Justin Bullard off and rolling. Looks like one rider going for a ride into the hay bales, back off and rolling. Row 28, Joe Marsh, Frank Messina, Milo and Danny Hoff. Row 29 now off and rolling. Jeremy Murphy, Alan Peters, and Stephen Meacham. Row number 30 getting the green flag. Ian Custer, Chris Hockey, Craig Fox, Matt Lyons, Wayne Skidmore, and Adam Clark. Row 31, Brandon Bailey, Logan Grounds, and Spencer Knight, the 250B class riders getting things started. Row 32, Isaac Leitner, Bailey Shadwell, Ben Luffy, Noah Morrill, and Colin Pill. Row 33, Byler Spearing, Chad Rager, Mason Zoyle, and Miquel Gomez. Luke Thurfield, Austin Vinegar, Colton Painter, and Jacob Blakely now headed off. Row 35, Carter Nielsen, Gabe Selby, Colton Selby, Colton Zablewski, Jace James, Easton Schautenbrand, and Cohen Bunch. Row number 36, Hunter Richards, Todd Applegarth, Tyler Delaney, and Garrett Parsons. Row 37, Maddox Moritz, Alan Geen, Philip Likens, Owen Mock, and Ryder Rick headed off for our four-stroke B lights. And now row 38, Ryan Dolan, Edward Cooper, Landon Long, Tucker McCrary, and Bryson Milligan. Justin Walker, Randall Covington now off and rolling here with row number 39, along with Will Thurfield and Ty Norris. Dylan Royer, Ashton Pellegrini, Zachary Johnson, Wally McDowney, and Jagger Eckstein headed off along with Bruce Carvalho. Now Tucker Lyons and Owen Dickin headed into turn number 1 for row 43, row 44. Now off and rolling the lone soldier out of the 150B division, Logan Hamrick. Row number 45, Zachary Agnello, Cameron Hughes, Tyler Daniel, Kevin Campbell, and Michael Hall. Row 46, Joey Rosinski, Billy Saliga, Travis Weisner, and Adam Fields. Row number 47 now. Dylan Kinsel, Colton Broadwater, Jonathan Bottomy, and Judson Bodges. Row 48, Matthew Hall, Dustin Stanley, Joshua Clens, and Michael Spencer. Row 49 now, Jamison Schaefer. One rider getting the machine fired up here on Snowshoe Drive. A quick hold. And George gonna be able to get him back up and rolling. Attaboy. Here we go, row 49, Jamison Schaefer, Kurt Geisler, Daryl Nicholas, Leroy Patrick Jr., Cody Johnson, and Anthony Tomorrow as one rider going for a ride. The 407 machine, Kurt Gosler getting drugged through Snowshoe Drive. He gets on 2 feet, a thumbs up, lets that rider know it is all good. He's headed off. Row number 50 now, Zachary Ford, Ben Woods, and Augustus Dill, along with William Shoemaker, Matt Kirsch, and Brandon Washington. Next row off and rolling, Philip Solin, Bob Raber, Jason Corbin, and Joey Nachi. 52 off and rolling, Kitten Shazzer, Matt Azanchico, Brent Long, Kevin Jones, Jared Hall, and Carl Lehman. Row 53, Larry Hopper and Chad Murphy. Row 54 now, Caleb Kinder and Justin Keem headed off for the Vet B30 Plus. And that, my friends, will be our start, our final start of the weekend here at round number 9, the Yamaha Racing Snowshoe GNCC. We are off and rolling with our 3-hour-long main event. We're going to be back on Flow Racing with more action here in just a minute.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
When I came here to the ranch, like right when you roll through the gates, everyone kind of says you feel the same thing. This is such a special place.
Welcome to Best 42 in the land. All ages from kids up to grown men. Walk through the gates of the coal miner's daughter to make a point clearer than the creek water. But who's the best? Who's it gonna be? In Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Can you feel the adrenaline? Dirt flies hypnotized by the wind spin. Feel the crowd, everybody's listening. Right on the field. Do what you gotta do for 20+2 out at the ranch.
I love coming to Loretta's. This is my family, right? Really special for me, so a lot of good memories.
Love coming here to Loretta's.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to round number 9 of the 2026 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. This is the Yamaha Snowshoe GNCC, and as we hop on board with the Yamaha Racing Live Drone, take you through a quick trip through the village as we officially get the final race of the weekend, kicked off our 3-hour pro finale. Zach Herron joined alongside Johnny Gallagher. Jackie Legg's going to be with us shortly, along with some other guests. Going to be helping call the racing action here. But Johnny, we said it in the openers. We said it all weekend long. Snowshoe, without a doubt, probably the round you've got circled on your calendar. Some because they love it, some because they don't. But nonetheless, everybody wants to be here at 48-48.
Yeah, we obviously have some marquee rounds here in GNCC Racing, and Snowshoe is the one that stands out. Probably above the rest in terms of scenery, you know, just the atmosphere. Obviously, we are atop a mountain here in a ski village. We've got a Starbucks, restaurants. You know, the accommodations are second to none here. But we're here to race this weekend, and we've already got our racing action underway here atop Snowshoe Mountain. As you pointed out, 48-48, 4,848 feet. That will come into play today, but when they lined up on the pavement, it was all business.
No doubt about it. We take a look at the specialized start recap. It was Craig DeLong on the factory Husky, jumping from the middle of row number 1 and grabbing the whole shot. Different start procedure here on top of the mountain, a rolling start. And Mike Wachowski going to lead the second row. Some of our XC2 intertwined in this as well. Jack Walker on row number 3 going to lead. You see Grant Davis, Jason Tino in the mix there as well. But the different style of start here atop of Snowshoe is a big talking point. I saw Brandy Richards, just to name one, doing a lot of practice out there at Club MX. The actual road start, not to mention the track itself, very unique here at Snowshoe.
Absolutely. It was everybody focused on the start here just a few moments ago, but now they're focused on this 12.5-mile racetrack that throws just a little bit of everything at these riders. We've got fast ski slopes. We've got gnarly Howard's Hole. We'll be coming to there in just a moment. The riders likely already through that section at the 3-mile marker, but we will maybe see a flashback. If not, we'll catch them the next lap through. Then we head over to the west side of the mountain where things, as they said yesterday, that is a man's track. We heard that from several of the riders. It really kind of differentiates. Then back over to the east side of the mountain for some high-speed stuff like we see here from our producer, Adam Gordon, OPAG, on Thursday when things were a little drier, Zach. We've had a lot of precipitation here throughout the last 3 or 4 days. We got up here on Thursday, very dry, started raining. And now there's actually small little, we won't call them rivers, we'll call them streams running down the side of this mountain. And there is a lot of water collecting at the lower elevation, especially in sections like this. This is actually coming down into the famed Howard's Hole. And Adam Gordon doing a great job of navigating This looked a lot different yesterday. There was about 10,000 people standing in that section. Adam Gordon having a little struggles of his own.
What are you talking about? He had it propped up just like he needed. He just didn't need the kickstand this time. OPAG giving you an up-close and personal view. And just like you said, looks the same, just throw a little running water on top of it. But as you can even see in that GoPro shot, as we pick up our leader on screen, the 342 of Craig DeLong, those big jagged rocks, just the abrupt adjustments as far as the things that you've got to be looking out for. We pick them up here at the 6 mile mark. Johnny, these riders, they're the best in the world. They're good at what they can see, but what lies underneath some of that running water we talked about, that's what could cause some problems for the riders.
Absolutely. It's very slick. There's rocks. There's soft pockets that absolutely just take away all the traction. You can see, looks like about the top 10 there flying in formation. Here comes Grant Baylor, who we saw kind of get the jump on row number 2 there. And then it does look like Jason Tino there out of row number 3. There is Grant Davis, I believe. Here comes Jack Walker, who got the whole shot there on row number 3. And that looks like maybe Ryder Lafferty on the 336 machine there. And then there is Josh Toth on the 206, last year's Snowshoe winner.
Yep.
You want to talk about how close that racing action was just a year ago? Well, you could have slipped a piece of paper between he and his teammate, Stu Baylor, on corrected time and on the track. They were absolutely swapping positions back and forth throughout the entirety of it, with Josh Toth grabbing the win by just about 3 seconds. That's how close the race was, right down to the finish line.
And we've already seen it in 2026. It's come down to less than seconds. It's come down to tenths at this point in some of our other classes, and we're expecting things to go off with a bang here this weekend as well. Like you said, Josh Toth grabbing the win last year over Stu Baylor. Ben Kelly rounding out that podium with Jordan Ashburn, and Grant Baylor rounding out your top 5 in 2025. And speaking of the Grizzly, momentum on his side, and that's going to be a thing we're talking about all day long. Momentum headed into summer break, a big kind of breaking point throughout the season before we pick up those final few rounds. And we talked about it yesterday as well. If you're in a good spot, you want to carry that momentum into summer break. But if you're not, you're trying to change the direction around to get summer to start going the direction that you need.
Absolutely. You know, we call this, it's funny because obviously you're about 3/4 of the way through the season after this round, but in reality, it's kind of the halfway point time-wise because we're going into this big summer break. So it's your chance to kind of take stock of where you're at. Obviously, we have quite a few riders still very much embattled in the points championship fight in that XC1 and overall championship. We've got a heck of a battle in that XC2 class for that championship as well. So a lot of these riders are going to use Snowshoe as the last opportunity to build some momentum, and that's exactly what they're going to be able to do. They'll do some racing. A lot of these guys running other series throughout the summer, but we will not see them back on track for a GNCC race until this fall. So they'll have the better part of 2.5 months off. Not off the bike, but off from GNCC racing. And today, as you pointed out, momentum will be key. And right now, the momentum all in Grant Baylor's court, coming off his first win of 2026, and did it in a very commanding fashion.
No doubt about it. Seen some of our other riders make their way through the 7 mile mark. Going to try to show you what our top riders look like as they made their opening lap through Howard's Hole. We talked about it. Looks very different than what we saw yesterday. You just saw Craig DeLong pull off of screen. I believe that's Stu Baylor just behind him right there as well. There is Jordan Ashburn, Liam Draper, and Ben Kelly. For the moment, looks like pretty consistent as far as line choices going, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody went down there and checked it out. And again, looks a lot different with about 8,000 less people down there. There's Josh Strang. Looks like Caleb Russell having a little bit of a struggle there, trying to make his own line or maybe miss the line. There's Jack Walker. There's Grant Davis. Here comes Jason Tino. And also the rest. Ryder Lafferty, you can see all the way out around. That was Gavin Simon. Brody Johnson taking the left of camera shots. Josh Toth, always with the style, straight up the middle. And we won't jinx him, but feet on the peg. Well, there he goes. He dabs. But he's almost a trials rider. What he can do with the machine, his bike skills are super next level. Jay Lipscomb kind of picking a bad line. They're getting into the deepest part of Howard's Hole. We saw those ATVs submerged up to the fenders yesterday. Today, looks like we got Lane Whitmer and also Caleb Wood coming through out of that 250A class, as well as some of our other 250A riders. Here comes Cooper Jones, fresh off a win just 3 weeks ago in New York, very near his home race. And Cooper Jones might be one to keep an eye on, because if you remember in the gnarly conditions of round 1 at Big Buck, he led our overall from that 250A class, I believe through like the first 2 or 3 laps of racing, getting a very solid finish there. Some more of our riders coming through there is rider out of Australia, Dylan McDonald, riding for that Ampro Yamaha team. Kind of really finding his legs here in the U.S. Sister Danielle, I believe, podium this morning in the WXC class. And looked like that was Will Sievenpiper coming through. We'll give these guys a shout out because we don't get to see them on Racer TV as much. And it's great to be able to see them.
I was going to say, we're not going to be able to recognize them for much longer after this camera shot either. So great to be able to catch some of the other riders. And these are some of the best riders that you're going to find in the country, in the world. riders that have grown up racing GNCC. And it's crazy to see the difference in speed and approach to some of these sections compared to those top XC1 riders.
Absolutely. We did see Swole Cole Whitmer coming through there, just bulldogging it straight up the middle on that big 450 gas. He is a rider that seems to do well when the conditions get very challenging. Now looks like we're starting to get back even into our 4-stroke A lights riders as they're working up. Still a couple more open A riders. Recognize that gentleman on the Sherco from about row 13 or 14. Look at this. Tough way to start the day. Wet gloves.
Ruined.
Yeah. See Braden Baisley coming through there. Looks like possibly Ryan Amancio. Jigs Festini in there as well. Look, maybe Brody Amos.
I believe Nash Pearson making his way by as well. These riders all building, and this is the deceiving part of Howard's Hole, like we talked about. What looks like a small puddle can sometimes almost swallow a bike whole.
Oh, look at that. Jumping off there. Big moves.
And I'm curious to see whether or not the lines move around in this, because I know we had a camera shot from later in this lap where Gavin Simon, it looked like, had made up a lot of time, and we saw a very different approach from Gavin out of that XC2 class compared to pretty much the entire rest of the field. So sometimes following the leader works well, but sometimes you got to go exploring to make up a couple passes.
Well, the big difference today with Howard's Hole, these riders can see the lines. They went down, they checked it out, and they're actually able to take the lines that they scouted, and there are some out-around lines to the right of camera, left of riders coming in there. And if you make it through clean, feet on the pegs, carry a lot of speed through there, it's not near as challenging, and you can actually make up ground if a rider stumbles even at all. You don't have to get stuck, just like we saw Josh Toth there trying to go up over that ledge. Next thing you know, you got a foot dab. That's a half a second. Those all add up through that section. Zach, you were down there yesterday. You couldn't really see the ground because there were so many people, but the reality of it is there are obstacles all throughout Howard's Hole, and since you were down there more recently, I've raced through it many times. Explain to people, Howard's Hole isn't one mud hole. It's a, let's call it a campus of chaos.
Well, and I think what we aren't quite able to do justice with on Racer TV is the actual length that Howard's Hole is. We kind of are stuck in that one spot of Howard's Hole year after year, and that's where the riders drop down into it. And trust me, there's plenty of people down there, but if the camera was to do a full 180, there is another, I mean, I would consider at least a quarter mile of just endless fans. And like you said, you can't see what's underneath, not to mention lap after lap. It's not always whether the pro riders can get through it. You got to think about the weakest link, the rider that has the most problems out there as well. That was one big thing we saw yesterday. Your leaders got through on lap 1 and 2 relatively easy, but as those back classes started to get through, they'd get stuck. Well, then they just decide to pin it, and all you're doing is digging down. The next lap, somebody like a Hunter Hart, who we saw, go into a line that he had full confidence into, but wait a second, it's about 6 inches deeper than it was a lap ago. It cost him not as much as he probably thought it did. We saw John Glada Jr. actually getting caught up a bit more than Hunter there, but at the end of the day, these riders are going to have to be in a constant state of adjustment, especially down there at Howard's Hole.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, it may be about a quarter of a mile from the camera shot that we have back out to the ski slope, but the treachery that is Howard's Hole, or the section of Howard's Hole, starts way back up. We'll have a camera shot, I believe we did yesterday, where they make a turn. Don't know if you've ever gone in that way, but that hill is really brakes on it, and in times where it's raining, there's actually like a creek running down that hill. You're trying to stay out of the water, you're trying to find grip, and it's a fight just to stay on the machine down that hill. It's so steep. When you get to the bottom, about, I'd say maybe an 1/8 mile, little less, before you get to that camera shot we have, there are some gnarly rocks. Now on 2 wheels, dirt bikes, they can pick their way through the middle, but even still, if you pick the wrong line, you can find yourself, your bike suspended in the air by the foot peg mounts, and both your front and rear wheels off the ground. You're having to push that thing over the rocks. So your line selection and kind of your composure, really more than anything, through that section. We'll bulldog through there. We saw Cole Whitmer, Swole Cole. He's beefed up, spends a lot of time in the gym. He just kind of pushed his way through. The Rocks saw him coming and said, man, we don't want any part of this guy. We're going to just jump out of his way. But that can happen very quickly. What we just saw on camera from that one of our amateur riders, you get carrying a little bit too much speed, front wheel gets in the wrong rut or on the wrong side of a rock. There's tons of roots down through there. I assume, I'll have to ask, you came in from the ski slope?
Yep.
Okay, so you walk that whole section backwards. There's wooden bridges, there's deep water holes if you get off to just one side or the other, and when it rains, that fills in. So what might be 6, 8, 10 inches in the middle of the trail itself you try to pass a rider and drop off to one side, that can be 2, 3, even 4 feet deep in places. Most of these riders, a lot of experience, headed through Howard's Hole. This is not their first rodeo, but you can, in the heat of the moment, trying to make a pass, it's super easy to just get offline. Stu Baylor out front. There he is on that 514 machine, a rider that's been kind of gaining momentum through the last several rounds, very nearly taking in last 3 rounds and winning as well. If you go all the way back to, I believe it was Powerline, where Stu Baylor grabbed the win.
Round 3.
Yes. Yep. Okay. No, that was a little further back. Round 3 was Talladega. Powerline was round 7, right? Yep. Round 7. Powerline. He grabbed the win there. Turned it up late in the race. Was in a battle with Craig DeLong. It looked like Craig and Liam Draper both had his number. Stu Baylor has been very vocal about the fact, do not count him out of this championship. If you look down through the points, you see a lot of no scores.
That's
for
what I was
Stu
just
Baylor
looking
there.
at. 3
but he
blanks.
seems to be climbing his way back up through the points with these consistent, he had a 3rd place finish, 2nd place at the last round? Third place finish at the last round, a win before that, and then another 2nd place finish just before that. So he's gaining a lot of points. There is Ben Kelly, and just ahead of him looked like it was the Honda, who we know is always good up here on the mountain. Here comes the 342 of Craig DeLong, our early race leader. So he has now slipped back to the 4th place position. And things starting to stretch out a little bit, Zach.
Yeah, a little bit of gaps now between riders. We learned a lot of things from the racing yesterday, but like you said, you knocked a couple of wheels off, and the approach changes in a big way. But what we learned from our AM race earlier today was, I'm going to take words out of Gary Fridley's mouth, who is always a threat in wet conditions like this. Composure and patience were the biggest thing. He said, I was arguably never the fastest, but my bike never stopped moving the whole 2-hour race. It put him up on that overall box in the number 2 spot. So for these riders, you don't always have to be the fastest, but if you can keep forward momentum for the full 3 hours, you might find yourself on the podium.
Well, composure and patience is definitely important. You got to keep yourself moving. But right now, I'll tell you who's not being patient. We just got word 54 seconds is the lead for Stu Baylor here at the 10-mile marker on lap number 1. Yes, you heard that right. Near a 1-minute lead already. He has absolutely dropped the hammer and charged through the field, and he's already made passes. And, man, if I'm not mistaken, sitting back there in he was on the front row, 5th place. So front row, no time advantage for Stu. Some of those other riders up there in the mix will gain a few second advantage. But now we did see Stu Baylor work his way up the FMF PowerPoint. Here comes 2nd place Jordan Ashburn, and it looks like Ben Kelly charging, trying to get a run on Jordan. Up the right-hand side, feet on the bags, and not able to make the pass right in on the rear wheel. Looking back, here comes Craig DeLong, but already up on top, back on the pavement. Stu Baylor relaying a message to the team. Look at that. That's a lot of communication there.
Hey, but who knows? I mean, if Stu's yelling it, it's probably pretty important. Stu, obviously, not just a rider, but a head central figure of that Rocky Mountain Red Bear team. And so he likes to keep tabs on everyone. He might be talking about what Josh Toth needs. You never know when it comes to Stu Baylor.
Yep, there is one of our XC2 riders, Jack Walker. And looking back a little bit further, looks like we do see the number 8 of Mike Witkowski. And then those big elephant ear handguards, we know that's Grant Baylor, our winner from the previous round. You see a lower line here for, that almost looks like Liam Draper. And if it is, he has dropped way back.
I think it is Liam Draper. I recognize the orange on the helmet.
There's Jason Tino.
So getting confirmation from our spotter, that was Draper back there. I believe that was Davis we just saw.
Tino and Davis. Here's 2nd and 3rd coming through the pro pits. Nice bottle handoff from Ben Kelly's mom. Still a family sport, even at the highest level. Once you develop that level of confidence with your bottle handoff person, your goggle person, you get on those factory teams and like, hey, we got somebody that's paid to do that for you. And you're like, no thanks, mom's got a dial. And you can see why right there. There's Craig DeLong sitting in the number 4 spot.
That's a little insider thing that we need to, Racer TV, write that down. We want to do the key to a good bottle handoff.
Josh Strain looking good on that factory beta here today. And I believe that was Angus Reardon. See the goggles flying from Jack Walker. Fresh goggles, looks like, for Caleb Russell. Holding up what looks to be Mike Witkowski a little bit while he's making that adjustment. And then here comes Grant Baylor, also on that Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC Kawasaki machine. That is Davis there, a rider who was very much in the mix for a win here a year ago. There was a few issues for Davis last year. I think we had a rear tire that kind of deteriorated, and then the bike kept shutting off, but he was in that fight with Josh Toth and Stu Baylor for the win right up until the last moments, and then kind of fell out of that
And we've talked about, you know, Baylor so close, I believe, coming down to seconds from grabbing that win in 2025. And the man out front was able to talk with us a little bit earlier this weekend about what it actually takes to get the job done here atop of Snowshoe Mountain.
Yeah, I don't know. I've now won XC1 here. I've physically led the overall across the finish line, but with the time adjustment, not gotten it. So yeah, we've clicked off everything except the true overall win here, and it's just a matter of limiting mistakes and preserving the bike. You know, both of those things are extremely difficult here. You go through sections like Howard's Hole, and you know that there's rocks under that water that could derail a chain or smash a rotor or whatever it may be. You know, I think Ricky Russell a couple years ripping a foot peg off. So, you know, all these things, it's like you've got to be able to ride smart, dodge those hazards while you're still trying to go as fast as possible, and a little bit of luck. I'll be honest, Snowshoe takes a little bit of luck. I think any racer would agree. I mean, you've seen guys that maybe win one year and 6th, 7th, 8th the next year. Definitely need a little bit of luck on this mountain. It's treacherous, it's different, and this year's probably one of the more technical that I've seen since maybe back to 2011, 12 time frame. Having, you know, it seemed like quite a while there they would grab another road and we'd grab another gear, and we'd forget that there was challenging stuff in between the roads, and yeah, it seemed like this year they put a little more work back into it. So good to see a technical course, and I think it's definitely gonna divide the guys today.
So there you have it, and take a look at this. Looks like that might have been Ben Kelly going down just before crossing the finish line.
And a little bit slow getting up. I got to tell you, the ground here is so hard. And look at the gap that he lost there. He was battling with Ashburn when they left the VP Fuels Pro Road. Now, just about a mile later over at the finish line, Ashburn completely out of sight by the time he picked that machine up. Again, shout out to, that's actually, so it looks like now Reardon has gotten a round Strang, fellow countryman, and they trained together during the week. He would be the physical leader, at least in that XC2 class, but Strang kind of has his hooks into him and chasing. That is Mike Witkowski. It is Grant Baylor. A couple other riders in there as well. I think Caleb Russell was one of those on the 5.57, multi-time winner here. Here's Grant Davis charging out of row number 3, and you can see the lap times here. On lap number 1, fastest rider on the track looks to be, I guess they're in order.
Yeah, it looks like Jack Walker actually stepping up 32-33, grabbing the quickest time to 32-34 just behind him though. And I mean, I would say probably 6 seconds the split between those top 5 to 7 riders or so.
So while we wait for some of our top amateurs to check in, there is Jason Tino. There is Gavin Simon, the rider we saw making moves there early in lap 1. Now he's lost a few positions, but our running order, just in the order of the lap times you just saw, Jack Walker out of that XC2 class leading the way. Gus Reardon, time behind, 0:0:00. Okay, so this is one of those ones where you have to go off a lap's time. So he's actually 1 second behind Jack Walker on the overall time correction, and also that would be for the XC2 class. To go behind, that's a little bit of a mix-up because of the way they started. We'll go into that here in a little bit. But Josh Strang, 3rd overall. First time we've seen Strang running in a podium position here as of late. Mentioned that he was running strong. And then Caleb Russell in the number 4 spot. Mike Witkowski 5th. Grant Baylor 6th. I don't see. We're showing Stu Baylor back in the 8th place spot overall. Something's not adding up there because we were told he had a 54-second lead. Those guys only started 10 seconds behind him. We'll have to get some clarification. Maybe they punched in his transponder, or Baylor had an issue off camera that we didn't see.
We just saw Baylor go by on screen, and the clock's still ticking, so.
Okay, so we're going off our live timing and scoring. Baylor now down in Howard's Hole at the mile 3 marker. Our live timing and scoring not jiving with what we're seeing on screen. They're going to look into it, see if they maybe Baylor a transponder issue, but here he is threading his way through Howard's Hole. Some helpers running along with the full-on waders.
I think that's Alex Luger, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I believe that was Luger full sprint in case Stu needed some help. I may be wrong. Look, yeah, now 2nd and 3rd making their way through this section, so we'll get an update on timing and scoring as here comes Grant Davis making his way through. You see
Yeah, the lap time for Baylor doesn't add up because it's showing 33 minutes and 26 seconds, which would put him near a minute behind Jack Walker, our overall leader. That something's amiss.
So we'll get to the bottom of it as we continue to watch our riders make their way through Howard's Hole. Jordan Ashburn on the Phoenix Racing Honda, got the leg picked up just in case. Another very technically skilled rider. And how about it though? Ben Kelly,
even after the crash, has now fought his way right back to the rear wheel. Here's Craig DeLong in the number 4 spot. Fight. Podium position there just ahead of him in the form of Ben Kelly there on the number 1 last year's series champion. And then here comes our XC2 physical leader, Gus Reardon there, and Jack Walker just behind him somewhere. There is Caleb Russell. There is Jack Walker. So that is actually your XC2 leader after time correction. Liam Draper putting in a, it's actually Caleb Russell there. So that must have been Liam Draper. I came through there. Hard to tell, same gear. It was, it's moves if that was in fact Draper. There's Baylor. There is Grant Davis.
I believe that was Mikowski just in front of him as well. As you see the feet off, the paddles out.
See some different lines there as they exit.
There is Liam Draper making his way through. So
going old, getting blind. I don't know who it was.
Draper still got some work cut out for him. Again, though, no panic button being hit quite yet, especially for these top riders. They know this is a long race, and I mean, things start to close in. After a good lap or so, they all settled into a pace. Josh Toth dropping down up on the foot pegs.
One thing we do see looking at our running order, we see Ryder Lafferty coming through there on the 336 Morning Duck machine. There is Gavin, and there is Jason Tino sitting inside the top 5 in that XC2 class. But looking at the top 10 overall, we've got 2 overall amateur riders in the top 10 overall. They share a last name, Lane Whitmer, Cole Whitmer, both of these guys. Now, we do have to fact Baylor may figure into this somewhere once they do the time correction because something has gone amiss with that. But that was actually Lane Whitmer right there coming by, and he has passed so many already of the XC2 class. We saw him, I believe it was 10th, 11th overall last year here. Cole Whitmer has done the same in the past. These guys live over in Pennsylvania. They ride the rocks all the time, and they love these conditions. They're always smiling coming up here on the mountain. Their dad, Doug Whitmer, been a former top XC1 rider on the ATV side of things, was a mechanic for Barry Hawk when he was racing motorcycles. Actually, that was Cole Whitmer, I believe, right there. There is Hunter Smith, another one of our 250A riders checking in. So looking at the running order, which once we get here with where exactly Stu Baylor slots in, not corrected yet in scoring. So per timing and scoring, Jack Walker leading the overall. But from what we've seen on screen, Stu Baylor almost assuredly is your overall leader with a pretty wide margin. Here comes Jay Lipscomb on the 707 machine. Another one of our XC2 riders working his way through pretty smooth here through Howard's Hole. You can see a little lull in the action as they're working their way through Howard's Hole, showing just how quickly things are getting strung out. It is very, very challenging, this racetrack. So much diversity, everything from high-speed sections to just pick your way through the rocks. We've got some rock gardens the riders were talking about this morning, and I mentioned the uphill rock garden, and the answer I got from some of the riders was, which one? Because there's about a dozen of them, some new ones they put in. We referenced that bike-only section earlier on in the show. It seems like the way things are shaking it out, it's already starting to get strung out. The gaps are opening up inside the top. We're still inside the top 20 overall with what we're looking at on screen, or just outside of it. The riders coming through. We do have more 250A and Open A riders checking their way in. Looks like Cooper Jones inside the top 20 overall, Chase Landers, and also Hunter Smith. So those guys all have already come through. Jason Lipscomb, who we did just see come through, is our 20th place rider as they show right now on live timing and scoring. Yeah, something is amiss because we're showing Ben Kelly and Craig DeLong 22nd and 23rd overall. So we're going to go with what we're seeing on screen. We're going to hope that live timing and scoring can catch up at some point, maybe transponder issues, and they're having to enter those guys in. So anybody inside the top 20 overall, you're probably going to have to bump back a few positions once you factor in Stu Baylor, Jordan Ashburn back there in 21st overall. So things are just absolutely...
We're all over the place right now.
But we got the action on screen.
Seeing is believing, as they say here, so. And taking a look right now, I believe this is Jakes Bustini, who we're seeing on screen making his way through. Accomplished rider. GNCC solid time over in the J-Day Series as well. And that was a good run through the hole right there for him, up on the pegs. I believe that's McDonald on the Ampro Yamaha making his way through as well. Might have been Chase Landers just in front of him on the KTM ride.
These are the 250A riders coming through currently inside the top 20 overall. Once we add about 5 or 6 XC1 riders back in there, we'll shake them all up. We'll figure it out next lap. But one thing we know for sure, leader on screen, 5:14, Stu Baylor, Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Down not only a win, his first here atop Snowshoe Mountain, but also valuable points in his quest for a 2026 GNCC overall championship. It's a long bridge to cross, but it is not mathematically impossible. And if you would have told me that after the first 4 rounds that he had, I would have said, you, sir, are out of your mind. But frankly, Stu's been riding well, and he's kept himself on the podium the last several rounds. But the bigger story in terms of him riding his way back into this championship has really been the inconsistency of a lot of the other riders. Really, you know, you look at Liam Draper, you look at Craig DeLong, you look at Jordan Ashburn. Jordan Ashburn, normally a sign of consistency, and when you read off his finishes there,
yeah, 13th at the last round.
And the round prior?
Yeah, absolutely, and the 10th, 2 outside the top 10 or on the bubble of the top 10 for the number 3. Now in the number 2 position in points, and you take the actual total in points themselves, 153 for Liam Draper, 145 for Jordan Ashburn, but Craig DeLong, Ben Kelly, and Stu Baylor, 131, 130, and 124. They're all neck and neck for the backside of the podium in this championship, and like you said, maybe got to be a little out of your mind to have that level of belief, and Stu will happily say he's that kind of crazy.
We'll see who that rider was that we thought was on a Yamaha, because there shouldn't. So that is Josh Strang there. He is just behind Angus Reardon, who's our physical leader in XC2. There's Jack Walker. That is our XC2 leader on corrected time, or at least was when they checked in. And that next rider should be coming. We got him a little, or I got him a little mixed up last time. Oh, a little mixed up on his line choice.
Yeah, so it's Caleb Russell and Grant Baylor. Baylor getting a little out of shape there, kept it on 2 wheels. Grant Davis now making his way through.
You can see that rain falling again now. There's Mike Witkowski on the number 8 Phoenix Racing Honda, trying to track down his teammate well ahead of him at the moment. Jordan Ashburn sitting in that 2nd place position physically, 56 seconds, we were just told, behind Stu Baylor as they run on track. Ben Kelly charging to try to close that gap back up. Here comes your points leader, Liam Draper, trying to do damage control at the moment, starting on row number 1 with that preferred starting position, now drop back outside the top 10 physically. We'll get the time correction as soon as we can, but we know that he is going to be making every pass that he can and every effort he can to max points. Looking back, 206, that was Toth, Lafferty, Tino. All working their way through. I think this might be Gavin Simon on the 249. Does she know? Yep.
Eagle Eye still got it. What are you talking about?
Once they get up close, it gets harder. Your distance vision is still great when you're 50, but...
Well, I did just get an update from Jackson Burrow, who ran down to the pits. We saw Stu Baylor conversing with the team there. His mechanic, Blake, said he was complaining about his goggles fogging up. They had new goggles, but he has not stopped for goggles since then, so they think the problem has kind of solved itself. But Stu having a little bit of vision issues, maybe not quite the ones we were expecting early on.
Well, there is Stu, and let me tell you a little bit about vision issues. He's already into lapped riders at the 6-mile marker here on lap number 2. So he's going to have even more vision issues, but he's still going to have the clearest vision. There you can see he's already made his way around a few of those lapped riders. He's going to have the clearest vision of anybody because he's not being roosted by his competition, only being roosted by the lapped riders that he's working his way around and already working his way around that west side of the mountain, clicking off mile markers about halfway through lap number 2. As we look here at the lap times with 33:26 on lap number 1 for our leaders, to me, that's looking like that's probably a 5-lap race. What we were thinking could be a 6-lap race, looking like it may shake down to be 5 unless they pick up the pace significantly at this point. So well into this one here. 2nd place rider on screen, Jordan Ashburn, Phoenix Racing Honda. trying to gain some points back on Liam Draper, who's leading the points, but he is a full mile behind this man right here, Stu Baylor, on rails and just pushing the pace right now. You see a little dab of the foot, but never letting off the throttle. Now, Ben Kelly under pressure from his training mate there, Craig DeLong in the number 4 spot, and the XC2 physical leader, Angus Reardon, putting pressure on as well. Here comes Josh Strang just behind that group and very much in the mix here for a top 5 or even a podium on time correction today. Then comes Jack Walker on the number 19 machine. Was our XC2 leader on corrected time last lap. He and Angus Reardon very close on time correction.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And interesting enough, we had seen Ben Kelly even after that crash. Him and Craig DeLong had worked back up to Ashburn, but it seems like the Phoenix Racing Honda has responded. He put a little bit of time back and is now trying to chew into the gap that Stu Baylor has built up. As Grant Davis makes his way through, see no goggles on the number 2 ride.
Grant Davis making a couple passes. He has gotten around Caleb Russell. He has gotten around Grant Baylor, and now Mike Witkowski. We see Baylor. Still no Caleb Russell, so he lost several spots there in that section of racetrack. Here's Ashburn, and that gives you an idea of the gap. We were talking about Stu Baylor. We went back, looked at all those other riders. Finally, we see Jordan Ashburn come through. Stu Baylor controlling this one from the front right now, Zach.
No doubt about it. Motley Stu looking good and trying to make himself king of the mountain here in 2026. A good start from Craig DeLong, who's up in the mix as well. Jordan Ashburn, Ben Kelly, even after a small mishap, still in the fight and still plenty of racing to go. Who are we kidding? It's Snowshoe. Anything possible at any moment. How's it all going to shake out? We'll have more racing when we come back from a quick commercial break right here on Racer TV on Flow Sports.
Don't let waiting in line for service sideline your machine. Eliminate the wait and save money by doing it yourself. AMSOIL makes it simple with oil change kits that include exactly what you need in one convenient package. Choosing the right kit is also simple. Just plug your ride into the Shop by Vehicle tool at AMSOIL.com and have your kit delivered right to your door. Get the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to round number 9 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. We're here in almost heaven, West Virginia, as Tim Cotter would call it, Snowshoe Mountain, and what an incredible weekend it has been. Not just incredible ATV racing, not just motorcycles. This was also the site of round 3 of the Progressive EMTB Racing Series. Actually, the event that kicked off the weekend, Jackson, and this was one of the closest fights that we've had, I would say, in the last couple of years at EMTB Racing.
Yeah, it sure was, Zach. It was a good day for EMTB Racing, the Progressive EMTB Series here for 2026. And Zach, yeah, like you said, it was one for the books. This was round number 3 of our EMTB series here, round number 9 for the rest of the guys.
We had our multi-time champ and points leader in the XC1 class, Charlie Mullins, out here with us, but it was our reigning champ, Cody Pivorato, who got out front, but he had Charlie Mullins right on his heels. Look at how close it was down to the finish, and Pivorato holds off Charlie Mullins, and if you know anything about Charlie Mullins, you know how difficult of a task that is. But we've got some mountain bike royalty of our own here in the booth. X Games medalist, Rampage, Lars Tribute, hanging out with us here in the Racer TV studio. Lars, welcome to GNCC.
Thank you so much. It's so sick to be here. It's my first GNCC in person, and really cool to come back to Snowshoe. There's a huge just history in downhill mountain biking as well, not just GNCC. So really cool to be here. And I don't think I was prepared for what I was experiencing this weekend. It's just been awesome.
And I was going to say, we're not just here as a fan. We got out there, got on the machine, and got a little dirty out here as well.
Absolutely.
Snowshoe, how was that?
It was cool. I've had 7 surgeries in the last 18 months. So this weekend was my first time throwing a leg back over the bike. I've been back on a bike for about 2 weeks. So I figured might as well race. It was just a fun time out. I wasn't trying to be competitive. I just wanted to experience it and just kind of drink in the whole GNCC vibe. And man, this weekend's delivered. It's been awesome.
It's certainly an experience unlike any other. Now, you've got your own history here at Snowshoe. Talk a little bit about how special of a place this was for you coming in your own sport discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Don might have some clips from back in the day, but Snowshoe Mountain was a premier stop on our national championship series for about 5 years in the late 90s, early 2000s. Some of these clips are the era that I was really, really immersed in the sport. Actually, that's a little bit of my helmet cam footage from back in the day. Formative era of downhill mountain biking, lots of similarities to what you're seeing here today on the motorized side. But rugged terrain. This mountain's also hosted 5 World Cups, UCI World Cups, and as part of the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series today, we're looking to potentially bring a stop back to Snowshoe, West Virginia in the next year or two. So that's the goal, but that's still top secret. So that I just kind of made.
Hey, breaking news.
Secret. Yeah.
Now we're putting the pressure on, right? We got the social pressure aspect of it to get it back here at Snowshoe. Well, certainly doesn't look like it's gotten any less rocky over the years, Jackson.
No, it sure doesn't. That's what I was about to tell all the fans at home. If you wondered the rocks that we were talking about, you can't see them with the mud right now, but there they are.
No doubt about it. So hanging out here, going to call some racing action with us for a little bit?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, fantastic stuff. Well, back to the action here on course. We've got Stu Baylor, who I know you're kind of new with us here at GNCC, but Stu is a personality, I think, as much as a racer, and the fans have been waiting. They're lining the fence to try to get his first overall win here at Snowshoe. Talk about, as an athlete yourself, the kind of pressure and coming into a situation like this. It's rainy, the weather, always kind of a question mark. What's the mental side of that like as an athlete?
I personally love the rain. I'm an East Coast guy. We always had rain here. But really just, I think the folks that do well in the wet are the people that enjoy the wet, right? So if you're like, oh, nice, it's raining, it's going to be gritty. You're talking earlier about patience and persistence. I think the one difference between downhill mountain biking and a discipline like GNCC is you can't be patient. You're talking about a 3-minute race, not a 3-hour race. So you come out of the gate screaming, you cross the line screaming. And that's probably the one difference. But the mental component's huge. If you believe in yourself and you kind of lock down your lines in your head and you just envision your execution, I think that's all the same. The impressive part to me is just being able to do that for 3 hours and not having like a lapse in focus. So that's why I think this sport's pretty cool. But there's a lot of crossover. We've got riders like Josh Toth, Ben Kelly, Jason Tino. There's a lot of riders that are riding mountain bikes as well. So it's really cool. Ben Kelly showed up at the Fox US Open of mountain biking a few years ago and won the amateur category and was going bar to bar with some of the toppest, fastest pros in the world. And
Now, how about now we got to do a little bragging here. Your resume as an athlete, tell all the fans at home what we've accomplished.
Well, I mean, that's kind of an awkward position to put me in, but I've been super involved in the sport. I've had 3 Masters World Championship titles.
Wow.
Competed in the X Games, fastest qualifier, and Winter X Games. So it was basically like ice snowcross, but on bikes, 70-foot jumps. It was really cool.
Wow.
Competed in the first couple Red Bull Rampages. And, the most recent years have been the host for the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series. You can watch all the races. It's a 5-race season. They're on YouTube. They're all free to view.
Cool.
Try to kind of do the same thing that you're doing in GNCC, just expose it to more people and build the sport through that. So,
well, there's one thing for sure. You guys are gnarly on the downhill side of things. That is for sure.
And we can now add GNCC finisher to the list as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about that? No doubt about it. Well, back to the racing on screen just before the finish line as we watch and wait for our leaders to come back around. Jackson, we've talked about it. All I could think of when Lars was describing the mental side of things was Gary Fridley, right? This is a guy that we know gets a smile on his face when it starts raining, and we kind of jokingly bring Gary up a lot because he does so well in these kinds of conditions, but I think he hit the nail on the head. You even take a look at the super motocross side of things, riders like Justin Barsha, Aaron Plessinger, who's obviously got an off-road background. Those are the riders that I don't think they're wishing for rain, but they don't panic when the rain starts to come down.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely a different mindset. You know, like I still remember just having a huge smile because there was a lot of the top athletes coming from Southern California and downhill mountain biking, and they don't get the same pleasure of riding in the cold wet. So whenever it would rain, I think just my soul would start to smile because I always looked at that as the great equalizer. And I mean, 3 hours of just battling here. I mean, you were talking earlier about the momentum and being fluid and just letting the bike roll with you. All the same rules apply to downhill. Like I said, it's just a little more intense.
Oh, absolutely,
and
yeah.
For a shorter amount of time. But man, this has been cool. I walked the whole track yesterday, not the whole track, but a lot of it. I got to see everything, and I'll tell you, if you haven't come and spectated a GNCC, standing right by the side of the track, and it's addicting, man, getting roosted on. And I even had the privilege of seeing Howard's Hole yesterday.
That's an experience, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you can't unsee it, but it was pretty fun.
No doubt about it. And here at Snowshoe, like we've said all weekend long, you really get kind of the best of all worlds. Our WXC was breaking it down. They're wide open 4th, 5th gear down some of these fire roads. And then in some of these other sections, you're 5 miles an hour or less in some of the technical side of things. So you really got to be comfortable on both sides. Now, you brought up a couple different riders. You talked about Ben Kelly obviously having some downhill experience and doing some racing with you guys. And then Jason Tino doing some mountain bike riding as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, so Jason I've known since he was in diapers. I was friends with his dad, and I've watched him grow up. And he was, you know, the little guy on the front of the pit bike with his dad riding him, and he just could never get enough, and that has carried him all the way through. So for me personally, like, I just want to see him throw down this weekend and just take it. But it's just really cool to see someone that you've watched grow up become such a powerhouse in this discipline, and I'm really proud of him. The work ethic of that young gun is, I mean, I know all these guys are hard workers, but I get to see that firsthand, and it's just unparalleled. You don't see it too often where someone's got the right head
And did just get a word there from Race Control. Bad news for the Ampro Yamaha rider of Caleb Russell. Sounds like headed back to the pits. Jackson looking like maybe going to try to step out and see if he can get an update, potentially even a word. But tough break there. Caleb Russell, obviously a name that needs no introduction here at GNCC, was looking to make a statement here on top of the mountain, and unfortunately going to have to call it early. And you can talk on this, Lars, as well. The intensity with you guys, it's wide open from start to finish, but the championship grind is something that I think you can relate to as well. Being able to kind of carry that pressure throughout the course of a whole year. Riders, they're coming into a summer break, and you brought up the momentum side of things, and just that mental aspect of, man, if you have a good race headed into summer break, you're reflecting on that and carrying that throughout. But if you are somebody like maybe a Caleb Russell, who unfortunately is going to be closing things down early today, you're trying to shake that off and completely rewrite the rest of your year once you go on break.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, our season's a little bit more condensed. There's only 5 stops in the Pro Downhill Series, so you don't really have the luxury of really throwing a race away. You kind of have to be consistent. We have seen a few riders just, you know, consistent right in the podium, like 4th, 5th, and do really well in the standings. But consistency is key there. Not missing any rounds is important. But just like this, you know, you could have someone who's coming in and is a dominant force and maybe able to pull one off if they miss a round traveling to a World Cup or a different event. We do have a lot of our top pro riders are also going and competing in the UCI World Cup overall. So we've got some riders that aren't able to just make the schedules work for all 5 rounds.
The Ampro Yamaha pitch, you see them tending to the right hand of Russell, and certainly the kinds of conditions where the track can reach up and bite you, or even you know, a rock flying off the rear tire of a rider in front of you, certainly possible. We'll see whether or not we can maybe get an update here in just a little bit, but definitely not where we want to see the 557 in the pits, as we caught our leader making his way through the 10-mile mark just a bit ago. Here is, I believe that's Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 ride, checking in as well. And not far behind, no goggles on the 342 of Craig DeLong, but he's got Ben Kelly, and it looks like Gus Reardon right behind him as we bring Johnny G back into the booth. Johnny, unfortunate news, Caleb Russell in the pits and looks like out of this one.
Yep, said just after the 4 there coming down the mountain, actually was kind of jumping down one of the ledges. There was a log across the trail. He said he landed on the log, no big deal. Flying up, hit him right in the fingers, not lengthwise, but long ways. It stuck in the ground and just blew his hand off the handlebars. His fingers are absolutely shredded. Did already go see Dr. Tanner. Great shout out to SOS. Safety on site, Dr. Tanner. They did a quick x-ray. It appears that he will be okay, but he can't even close his fingers right now. They're shredded, no skin left on him, and they're already swollen up quite a bit. So he is calling it a day for today, said he can't hang on to the handlebars, but you know, it was just one of those things, landing in the wrong spot, and that log broke off, came flying up, and just goes to show how many obstacles there are out on this racetrack.
Seeing some of our other riders up the FMF PowerPoint here at the 12-mile mark. And as you can see, the water is still raining out there, Johnny?
It is, yeah. Just a little bit of a drizzle, nothing too bad, but it's just enough to keep things slick. And you can see how gingerly these riders are coming down here at the 12-mile marker, the FMF PowerPoint. And there is Jordan Ashburn on that number 3 Phoenix Racing Honda in that number 2 spot. But Craig DeLong giving him a little company now on the 342 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. Here comes the number 1 of Ben Kelly, charging, trying to close that gap back up, and coming with him is our XC2 physical leader, Gus Reardon, on that Phoenix Racing Honda.
I was able to catch up with Ben just prior to the race kicking off, and he's riding on the injured list as well. I think he's heading out to get some surgery tomorrow, I believe, on the hand. So it's really cool to see, again, just the fortitude of, you know, these athletes, just to see what they're able to do. Well, even when not 100%.
And when you talk about injured list for Ben Kelly, I mean, the list is pretty long. Yeah. He had a big crash at our Tennessee round while battling inside the top 5. Originally thought it was some bone in his shoulder, so he was riding through that. And then, as you mentioned, now a hand injury, wrist injury. So it's just, these guys are warriors. They're most of series, so it's not just the 13 GNCCs. They're riding during the week. We've talked about this before. It's kind of the cumulative effect on your body, which you well know from your years as an athlete. When you're hitting the ground, it doesn't always come out so well. Here we see our second place rider, Jordan Ashburn, coming through grabbing a bottle. Craig DeLong signaling for goggles. Ben Kelly just behind, and there is our XC2 physical leader, Gus Reardon. And looking at the gap, I believe he has now on Jack Walker. I think that might be the XC2 corrected time lead as well. We'll wait until they check in to get an official word on.
In the KTM pits there, look like some hydrations, fresh set of goggles, and you see the teams just trying to blow the mud off the bike if they can, help cool it down, help keep anything from getting where it shouldn't be. Back to the FMF PowerPoint we go as our riders tiptoe their way back down here at the 12-mile mark, and obviously not just a hot spot for the riders, but the fans enjoying the views here from the PowerPoint as well.
You know, and another thing I noticed when I was down there kind of visiting the VP Fuels Pro Row there, a lot of teams prepping for wheel swaps, tire changes, and I noticed that on the starting line as well. A lot of these riders opting to go with a gummy tire, and when they do that, they're gaining that advantage, the additional traction, but they know that 3 hours, these rocks, these conditions, and even the high speed on the roads. Here we see Jordan Ashburn, one of the riders. You can tell, look at that bib and how soft it is. He was one that said, I'm going to run the softest bib I can find. Don't know if he's running a gummy or not. Did not speak with him. There is Grant Davis, last year's XC2 champion and second place in the overall championship. He is charging, trying to make up ground on the leaders ahead of him. But things are going to get interesting here when we see fuel stops and potentially wheel changes. I don't want to call them out by, you know, this one for sure, because I actually asked some of the riders, well, what if when they come in, the tire still looks good? They said, if tire looks good, we're going to let them go. But the plan is we have a wheel, we have the same tire again that we're going to swap to. They said, I asked, how quickly can you do this? 36 seconds was the quickest I heard to swap a rear wheel. And to be able to do that for fresh traction, you can gain that back in a lap easy if you have that much better traction. There is Jack Walker. It looked like his rear bib's so soft as well. We see that a lot. The rim almost squatting down and touching the ground. Here comes Grant Baylor on that 314 machine. Last round winner. We've seen Grant Baylor and his brother Stu both run soft gummy trials tires here in the past and do very well. As Stu pointed out, never actually getting the overall win here, but right now in a commanding position to do just that.
Taking a look, Davis back and makes his way through, water bottle swinging. And even those top riders really taking their time coming down this hill. You can see not just the rocks that are stuck in the ground, but the rocks that are rolling around with them.
Josh Toth carrying a lot of speed.
Toth kind of making me eat my words there.
Showing why he won this race last year. Very, very good in these conditions. We talk about it all the time, and every time I feels like we jinx Josh Toth, and he ends up having a foot dab or a miscue on camera. but he is just so good technically. His body placement on the bike, his ability to manipulate that 250-pound dirt bike with just throttle control, clutch controlling the bike with his legs, using his feet in the proper places, toes in, all the stuff you teach in riding schools. Looks like we do have, I think that was Brody Johnson possibly there out of that XC2 class in that racecraft off-road racing. Husqvarna team was spraying off. They're already cleaning the goggles just in case they need to re-prep him, and also so he doesn't have to take a muddy set home with him.
So you mentioned 36 seconds to change a tire.
Rear wheel.
Rear wheel.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Now, they did point out, they said that is in controlled conditions.
Yep.
You know, here at the track, they were practicing yesterday, maybe even practicing this morning and timing it. And that was kind of when they were weighing it out. Like, how much time do we need to be able to make up? You know, if this is going to take, they know roughly how long it takes. A rider themselves can do it in around a minute. But they said 36 seconds is clean. You know, all the tools laid out. And I even asked them, I said, is it a different axle you're putting in? They said, absolutely. We're not going to wipe that axle down and re-grease it. We have another rear axle that is, you know, greased, ready to go. Another nut. Everything, the spacers, all ready to go. All we do is we hit that thing likely with an impact, spin it off, push the axle out. But the thing is, you have to line that brake disc up to go into the brake pads. So we may even see, you know, a second set of hands coming in there. There's no rules here. You can use as many people as you want in a pit stop to make sure those brake pads are separated far enough with the screwdriver held apart while the brake disc goes in. Then they got to put the chain back on, get it all in there. And the other thing, too, is they do have to make sure that axle is slid all the way back to get the chain tight, to get everything exactly where it needs to be. So we'll likely see them throw like a wiper that in the chain. They'll roll the wheel backwards, which puts that tension on the chain to make sure that it's pulled all the way tight. They'll tighten it down, pull that towel, T-handle, whatever they choose to use. Most people like to use something soft so that it doesn't potentially damage the chain or sprocket, and then they'll be on their way. And the rider will likely be getting themselves maybe a goo packet, a little bit of water, some fresh goggles. They surely will be off the bike for those wheel changes, though.
That's incredible. What you just described take me 3 to 6 hours in 36 seconds.
5 to 7 business days for some people.
No kidding. Taking a look at the lap times from our last lap. Gus Reardon a 32:35. I believe the quickest that I'm seeing on screen here to 32:38 for Stu Baylor. So those two, the only ones still in the 32:30s.
And that
look back.
That right there shows you that definitely Reardon. Now, Stu Baylor coming to a stop there in Howard's Hole. Still our overall leader. Gus Reardon in that number 2 spot. Jordan Ashburn 3rd. Craig DeLong 4th. Ben Kelly 5th. Josh Strang 6th. Jack Walker 7th. Grant Baylor 8th. Grant Davis 9th. And Josh Toth rounds out our top 10 after corrected time, now that they've got it all sorted out.
I got to give a shout out. That is Alex Luger in the waders. I don't understand how he's walking through there so well. He's full sprinting alongside Stu Baylor. I believe Alex back working at the shoals, helping the team out, and certainly doing his part down here at Howard's Hole as Baylor, again, showing that little bit of patience. It's not these big moments, but just sitting for an extra second or two, really planning your route. It can make or break your ride. Lars, obviously you were down there yesterday. We've talked about it. It's something that you got to see in person, and it can't be unseen. Just initial thoughts. When you first saw it, were you like, there's no way?
My mind exploded. It's not even exploded. It kind of half melted and half exploded. I couldn't believe it. It was, I've never seen anything like it, you know? And I didn't even know where the track was, you know, because I went down before the racing started, and I'm kind of wondering, like, well, where's the track? I'm seeing ruts and stuff, and they're like, you're in it. So
a little different than downhill.
Yeah, a little different, you know? So it was kind of mayhem. You know, the party scene was like nothing I've ever seen before. It looked like a lot of people were having a lot of fun, and it looks very different today. I did go back down last night to check it out just to see what it looked like, so I got to appreciate, you know, what the riders were actually dealing with and navigating, because prior to that, it was just a sea of people.
Yeah, you bring up a good point as we do get word from race control. Sounds like a 5-lap race here today. So officially a 5-lap race as we now see Grant Baylor making his way through Howard's Hole.
Lars, just going back to that wheel change to put it in perspective, we announced this weekend, or they announced a few weeks ago, but they did the check presentations for the ISDE team. So the International 6 Days Enduro, 6 days of riding. Only the riders are allowed to work on their own bikes. They do a front and rear tire change every day. They'll bring the bikes in fresh off of a day of racing, fully depleted. The top riders will head out around 8 a.m. They'll get back around 3:30 in the afternoon on the bike all day. They will remove the front and rear wheel, do a bib change with new tires. Bibs are already loaded into them. The mechanics are allowed to do that ahead of time, but they'll do a 2-tire change. They'll fully service the bike. The tire change itself, you have to be able to do it in under 5 minutes. They have 15 minutes for final service, but they'll want them to possibly drop oil, check clutches, make other adjustments to the bike, and kind of look things over, check nuts and bolts. The target is 5 minutes for wheels off, tires changed, wheels back on, and everything tight. And some of the riders can do it quite a bit quicker.
That's unbelievable. I can successfully do it in about 5 minutes, but I drive to my neighbor's house, and he does it for me, and then it takes me about 2.5 minutes, and then another 2.5 minutes to pick it up. So,
well, you can come to ISDE. You could be one of the standout performers.
that's impressive. So from a mechanical standpoint, what else are you allowed to change? Because I'm assuming you have to finish on the same bike, right? But what else can you change through the through the course of the race?
Here in GNCC, you can change basically anything, because obviously you're not penalized, but the time that it takes you to change it, your mechanic can change it. You can have as many people working on the bike as you want. You do have to finish on the same actual machine. You can't swap out machines, but I mean, we've seen riders change shocks, wheels. We've seen riders change handlebars, radiators. I mean, you name it. We've seen riders break chains, put chains back on. So anything you're able to fix. And I think the key thing here to point out is the riders we're watching on screen, they're all battling for overall points. You have to finish in the top 20 overall to earn any points whatsoever. It's 30 points for a win, 1 point for 20th place. There's bonus points for the top 4 positions. So when it comes right down to it, the team managers, the crew, will take a look. If you're not going to finish in the top 20, we're not going to go through the process of trying to swap a shock or anything like that if you're so far back and you don't have a chance to come back in. But we've seen, teams go out, find riders out on the track. We do have some rules which are well explained in the rule book about if you've been towed by a course marshal, you are done for the day. You cannot tow a machine back in, repair it, and head back out. But if you're able to get that machine repaired and or back to the pits under your own power or with help pushing, that's perfectly acceptable. You just can't be towed by a motorized vehicle. And anything you can repair and get back out there, you can get points. And on a day like today where we see just how big the gaps are, you can give up a few minutes if you have parts available, whatever it may be, and still finish well inside the top 20.
Very cool. That's interesting.
War of attrition. Got to keep moving.
Yep.
More riders crawling their way through here at Howard's Hole. The 3-mile mark. I believe that was Chase Landers making his way through on the KTM with the skis out.
19th overall when they checked in last lap, just behind Cooper Jones, who was second place in that 258 class. The leader is still Lane Whitmer, but Cole Whitmer, older brother, has gotten the better of Lane on this last lap of racing, dropping back a few positions in the overall. We mentioned all those riders that the scoring was a little off on. He was bumped back to that 12th place spot, but Lane dropping back to 15th. So as you look at it, there are only 2 XC2 riders inside the top 10 overall. That's not something we see often.
No doubt about it. As we check back in here now at the 5-mile mark, and get a good glimpse at some of the routes the riders are dealing with as well. Kicking the front end, or trying to kick it out from underneath you at least, is a nice different line there from that rider making their way through. And another thing probably I would assume a little different here, the lap traffic as well. I know in our AM race we had almost 600 riders out on course. Didn't get the totals for our PM race, but it's a lot, obviously. Our leaders are making their way through. Stu Baylor, a bit bigger in stature, and he's made it clear he's not scared to move or be moved, if he needs to. And so it won't be long, I'm sure we'll catch some rev bombs and maybe a Baylor bump here just to get him out of the way if needed.
That's mint. He's got his own name for it. Baylor bump.
I just coined that, so we're going to add that.
Zach's quick on the trigger with those things. Yesterday we had Mount Wilkin. Here we see our leader on screen, Stu Baylor, on that 514 Kawasaki machine out front, really leading this one since the onset. We did see he had to make some passes early on. Craig DeLong was our early race leader, but he has now marched away from Jordan Ashburn, Craig DeLong in that XC1 class, even Gus Reardon in that XC2 class. Now keep in mind, we do know it's a sizable gap with an elapsed time of 1 hour, 5 minutes, 19 seconds. Oh, sorry, that's actually Craig DeLong. We need to scroll up a little bit here. So 1 hour, 4:04. So he has a 1-and-5-second lead on Gus Reardon on corrected time. Reardon, I believe, was a few seconds quicker. You pointed out, I don't know if it was 2-3 seconds.
3, yeah.
But he is making up time, but he's going to need to make up a lot more over these next 4 laps of racing, 4.5 laps of racing. 3.5 laps. We did say it was going to be a 5-lap race, 2 laps already complete. So he's running out of time if he wants to make a move, as are the rest of the riders. And speaking of, here they come. There's Jordan Ashburn, there's Gus Reardon, and there is Craig DeLong. So that is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the running order overall. Reardon has now closed that gap up to his teammate, the XC1 rider of Jordan Ashburn. So he has him most likely on corrected time. Reardon would be, was Reardon on road 2? Yeah, Reardon back there on road 2. So he is actually still ahead of Jordan Ashburn, but they are very close on corrected time. Now here comes Josh Strang, the freight train, one of the elder statesmen of GNCC racing, putting in a very solid performance here today in that number 6 spot in the overall running order.
So we see Strang make his way past here. Now, Lars, when it comes to Snowshoe or any location, they're all unique, right? The soil composition, the way a track breaks down. We hear our riders, the way they approach a muddy track here versus a muddy track there, very different. What were your thoughts on the way Snowshoe developed, the kind of soil, the rocks, and especially once you throw the rain in the mix as well?
Yeah, to be totally honest, what we're experiencing here today at this GNCC round is almost my exact memory of every time we came to West Virginia. I don't think I've ever raced this mountain with it not raining. We'd often maybe get a dry day in practice, and then for race day, a deluge, and our conditions would look almost identical to this. So I know for like 2019 to 2024, they hosted UCI World Cups here, and they had a couple different, like, better weather condition events, but my experience is just like this.
Yeah, even last year we had what I would consider one of the drier Snowshoe GNCCs. Of course, Howard's Hole was still muddy. They make sure of that. But here this year, we've even heard it from some of our top riders. This is one of the more technical GNCCs here at Snowshoe that we've had, at least in the recent past, John.
Absolutely. It's when you start adding water to this place, the rocks get slippery, the mud gets thick, and I think the big challenge this weekend has been we'll get rain, everything gets slippery, then it starts to dry out, the mud gets heavier, it starts sticking to the machine, starts sticking to the riders. And a big discussion coming into the day as we see our leader on screen, Stu Baylor, was tire selection, because you really do potentially want a different tire. If it's like that thick, soupy, gummy mud, maybe go with the scoop, maybe go with something that has a little more formidable knob on it, and then you might go to that gummy tire if it's kind of more hard packed slick. So there was a lot of debate about, is it going to keep raining or is it going to stop? We talk about that so much. You'll hear the riders afterwards say, you know, it stopped raining halfway through the race, and I wish it wouldn't have, because we were just getting used to the conditions, figuring it out, figuring out where the traction is, and then it all changes in a matter of just a lap or two when that rain stops. Well, in the case of this weekend, Snowshoe has its own weather system. You can check the weather, but it decides when it wants to rain. It decides when a cloud is going to come through and pretty much black out your vision. You can't see anything. It's almost like trying to ride through smoke. And it's very, very challenging for the riders, for sure.
Yeah, we have the same games in downhill. The tire choice is really critical in the wet, but a lot of times you're just going to run a tire that is consistent for a lot of conditions. Here, when it gets dry, if it stops raining and it starts to get real sticky, that's where a spike tire or something, it becomes really helpful, because it'll cut through the mud a little bit better, but you sacrifice tons of traction on the rocks. You have really tall, skinny knobs, they fold on the rocks, so they just don't work. So you're kind of balancing. It's always the same game, right? It's part of the mental game too in the wet. Which tire choice? What's your tire choice? What are you gonna run? Are you gonna soften your suspension up to deal with the slower speeds, or So a lot of similarities there. The one thing that blew my mind is I was looking at one of Jason's posts, and it had his heart rate for the period of the 3-hour race, and his average heart rate was over 200 a minute, 200 beats a minute for over 3 hours, and that completely, I was in awe of that. So I think, from your experience, do you think a race like this in this kind of conditions, you see higher heart rates? Because I can't imagine.
No, so these races, especially here at Top Snowshoe Mountain and with these conditions, it will wear you out physically, just because there's a lot of micro adjustments that are happening. You can see these riders, moving their upper body around, and they're constantly paddling through sections like this, and that's just, it takes a lot out of you cardio-wise for sure. But the biggest thing is just, you'll hear these riders after the race talk about how mentally fatigued they are. It just takes so much out of you to make sure you're in the right line, worried about lappers, worried about potential bottlenecks ahead. You can see Ben Kelly with the skis out. The long legs definitely coming in handy there. But to your point there with the heart rates, this is definitely a lower heart rate track. You won't see those crazy high heart rates sustained for long periods of time. You know, if you're having to push the bike through a section, sure, your heart rate will go up a little bit, but then you get on the fire roads, it comes down a little bit. You get into the more technical sections, and if you're smooth through there, the heart rate comes down. But the biggest thing I've seen over the years is when, and you know, being a professional athlete, you know, those riders will post those heart rates, and sometimes even medical professionals will come out and say, well, that's not possible. You can't hold a heart rate that high. And it really just goes to show you how elite these athletes are. You can't come off the couch and hold a 200 plus heartbeat per minute rate for 3 hours. You would potentially have medical issues due to that. But these riders train, 6-7 days a week. They go through boot camps before the season starts. They go through mid-season boot camps. And that's the one thing, I don't know if you're familiar, many, many years ago, Sports Illustrated did a study of professional athletes. And the number one most physically taxing in terms of heart rate sports was soccer. And obviously in the U.S., not a big thing, but just all the running combined with the burst efforts of having to sprint, and then sustain that heart rate. And it wasn't based purely on heart rate. It was the toll it takes on the body. Number 2, motocross. And they didn't do off-road at the time, but I think if they looked at some of the heart rate data that some of these riders have posted, it might jump ahead of soccer.
Yeah, I remember that citation. That data.
It is certainly impressive, and it's cool also to see the riders as of late sharing that a little bit more with the viewers. I know Liam Draper's put some stuff out there. Zach Osborne, who works with a lot of these athletes and an athlete himself, has put that data out. And I don't know about for everybody, but as a nerd myself, I always love to watch it, and it really just goes to back up the superhuman things that these riders are doing for 3 hours at a time. As we continue to watch our riders make their way through. Snowshoe officially getting kicked off, and Stu Baylor trying to work his way closer to a snowboard here atop of Snowshoe Mountain. He saw Tim Cotter carrying it. He said, I gotta have it. Can Stu Baylor get the job done? Jordan Ashburn still on the hunt. Can't ever count out Josh Toth, especially here after grabbing a win last year. How's it all going to play out? Time correction is going to come into the mix, not to mention we got some big pit stops coming up here real soon as well. We'll be back with more racing action just after this on Racer TV right here on Flow Sports.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Hey race fans! Gear Bicycles is on hand today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it could be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive, Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the top here of Snowshoe Mountain, the ball hooter lift there, what you see on screen.
Are you ready to go?
And as you can see right here, one of our biggest events, as always, here at GNCC, the E-Pee-Wee Stasic Showdown. The Stasic Stability Cycles, they are changing the game here in the dirt bike world, and one that everybody likes to show up and show out at. Griff Cotter and the crew always doing such a great job down there, and of course Ricky Towery, DJ Judd, and the whole crew making sure to put on quite the show for these little rippers. And this is probably one of the coolest tracks that they'll go on all year. A little different than what they're used to racing through the grass. Gonna have them right here on the main drag of the Snowshoe Village. And Johnny, they get to go right through the vendor row.
Through Vendors Row, through a little wood section, as you see there, and a little bit of mulch. Not quite Howard's Hole, but it's like a little mini technical section for these riders. We saw some riders making contact. Get a little water hole there, right on the pavers. And this is a fan favorite for everyone here. You can see the spectators come out in droves to cheer these little riders on, and it is quite the scene. We can't believe you could see even contact with some track markers there. The hay bale, that rider was all right and continued on. Man, it's just such a vibe here when the Stasic races are happening right in the village. You can see that rider celebrating his big win. He was super pumped to see that checkered flag waving. That rider looking like he ran out of battery, so he was pushing himself across the finish line all the way down to even 2- and 3-year-olds out there racing. Some of those riders even on balanced bikes, self-powered, rider-powered. And then as they get a little bit older in age and a little bit more established riding ability, put them on those Stasics. They do have a battery power there with a little electric motor. So much fun to watch, Jackson.
Yeah, we got a little something for everybody here at GNCC. If you can walk, then you can come ride. And not only that, Johnny, we're not just riding dirt bikes and four-wheelers here. We're playing a little bit of golf as well.
Yeah, the ISDE Fundraiser Golf Tournament put on every year here at Snowshoe to raise funds for Team USA as they head this year over to Portugal this fall. This was the putt-off, additional money raised through that. And you can see some of the riders, some of the attendees having a little bit more golf skill than others. There we see Wayne Eller from that Phoenix Racing Honda team who ended up winning the golf tournament, and then Tim Cotter giving the presentation of the checks from GNCC to help these riders with the expenses to head over. 7 riders actually from GNCC heading over out of the 10 total that will be representing. We have 4 U.S. Trophy Team, 3 Junior Trophy Team, and then 3 Women's Trophy Team riders represented on stage there.
Yeah, Johnny, I believe $500 per rider there, and $81,000 was what was written on that big check you see there behind Mr. Cotter. So a ton of money being raised for them, and all going for a good cause there.
It is a huge endeavor. Over 100 people heading over there to ISDE to help support the team, between the riders, the mechanics, the team. There's so many people that have to go over to make that effort happen for Team USA. And our current leader, Stu Baylor, one of the riders representing Team USA, was a member on that 2019 overall world championship team, heading back to Portugal this year. Actually was just over in Portugal, did a World Enduro round, which is a very similar format to the 6 days, International 6 days Enduro. And I believe we got a chance to catch up with Stu, to our current race leader, to talk a little bit about ISD and heading over there this year to represent Team USA.
Yeah, ISD is definitely one of the events that I like to try to go to, and yeah, I haven't been selected. I thought that the process was skewed quite a few years, so finally got selected again this year, and it was good to go over there. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a really strong team this year. Myself, Grant Davis, Johnny G, and Dante. I think we have a good shot at things. I know that it's going to be a bit more sandy than what we'll see anywhere else. It sounds like they've got a mix of terrain, so we're going to be racing down near the coast. So as a whole, we enjoy Portugal. We won there in 2019 as the U.S. team. I was part of that program, so hopefully we can do that again and get a repeat there on the Portuguese soil. But nonetheless, it's great to travel over there, great to be a part of it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, there you go. Stu Baylor showing his confidence on track, leading the way, and his confidence as the team heads over just after our Mason-Dixon round. ISD will be the following week. Things get kicked off over there. When you say the International 6 Days Enduro, actually about 2.5 weeks. The riders head over very early to start walking tests because you cannot, here in GNCC, we use specialized e-bikes, get out there, pedal the track, check out what the riders are going to face. Well, it's sprint racing. They're very short tracks or tests, as they call them over there. And there's generally about 6 tests per day with hundreds of kilometers of transfer trail in between that the riders have to traverse as well. It's all based on time. The only time that counts towards your overall finish is your test time, but you do have to stay, air quotes, on time on those transfers. You have a time where you have to be at the next checkpoint. So the riders are riding at a pretty moderate but sometimes taxing pace depending on the terrain. For the better part of, sometimes they'll leave out at 8 o'clock in the morning and not get back until 3:30 in the afternoon, and they are on the bike virtually that entire time. Several scheduled service areas throughout the day where, again, they have a little bit of time to check over the bikes, change oil, scrape mud off, adjust chains, clean air filters, or change air filters. But it is all the actual work except for oil changes. Anything involving fluid, the mechanics can do. So they can change oil, they can put coolant in the machines, and they can wipe off anything that has sponsor logos on it. So on the machines themselves, they can wipe mud off if there's a sponsor logo on it. But anything pertaining to engine work, tire changes, chain adjustments, all that stuff has to be done by the rider, both during the day and even in the final service at the end of the day. So even when the riders are done, air quotes again, done at 3 o'clock, then they still have that final service, and it is quite the spectacle just to watch that. You see the quick tire changing devices like Rabiconda use, where they just kind of pry the tire off all in one motion. They put on a new tire that's preloaded with a bib, and they're, back on there and back in. The bikes are impounded every night. With the riders not on it riding it, the bike is under impound, so no work allowed to be done to it. It is a very intricate 6 days of racing. And right now, leading the way, this rider who will be representing Team USA in October, leading the way here at the Snowshoe GNCC, and with a 1 minute 5 second lead, he is marching towards what could potentially be his first ever. Whoa, that's not 1 minute and 5 seconds.
No, that is not indeed, Johnny.
So Jordan, things have tightened up. Jordan Ashburn has put in a push and got nearly to the rear wheel of Stu Baylor. So just when we're ready to hand over the crown, Jordan Ashburn puts in a push, and here comes Gus Reardon. So out of row number 2, Gus Reardon is putting in a push, and we may potentially see a battle here for this overall win, which was starting to look like a Stu Baylor runaway. Things are really heating up here as we get towards the top of the mountain on lap number 3, which we are expecting to see a 2-lap board in the hands of our race official, Ricky Tower.
Yeah, still got a good bit left here in this one. Getting told the gap now between Baylor and Ashburn going to be more around a 20-second gap, Johnny, rather than well over a minute. So 20 seconds is what we're being told between Baylor and Ashburn. Then we know Reardon is right there, and on that adjusted time, we'll see what it's going to be. Reardon did come there from row number 2, so not a huge amount of time going to be on his side, not near as much as what would normally be at a normal GNCC where they did the traditional row number 1 XC1, row number 2 XC2. So seeing one of our KTM riders going by there, I believe that was Ben Kelly, followed by possibly Grant Baylor making up a few spots there. And now seeing Jack Walker making his way by, you can tell by that big 2-stroke pipe hanging out there. Jack always on one of those 2-stroke machines. Like we said, making his way by right now at the mile 10 marker. But yeah, Johnny Reardon, he had a ride going there at our last race that was a potential for an overall win, as we see Grant Davis making his way by. Going into that final lap, he was in the lead of the overall, which just fell short of an overall podium. Grant Davis going for a ride there as he made his way up the hill here at mile 10.
Yeah, feet flying off the pegs. Those chuck holes, when that dirt gets dug out between the rocks, if you're not just balanced properly and you don't have the front end light, stuff the front end to it, next thing you know, you are feet over the pegs. Looks like he might have even taken the handlebars to the chest on that one, but continues on his way. No major flaw for him there, but he surely will be paying attention in that section of racetrack the next time around. But yeah, Gus Reardon riding very well here and inside the top 3 overall, showing on screen second place. We'll see how that works out with time correction. But one thing we know for sure, both Ashburn and Baylor, Reardon much closer to Baylor now, which was a 1 minute 5 second gap. We're told now 20 seconds, and here is your leader on screen. Stu Baylor charging hard, hanging off the rear of that Kawi 450, getting all the traction and trying to get that time back that he lost somewhere between that 7 and 10 mile marker. So about 3 miles of trail, a lot of technical sections over there. Some of those rock garden climbs we talked about. Whoa, that's Ben Kelly right there.
Hey guys, I'm going to jump in. Stu Baylor and Jordan Ashburn both in the pits. Ben Kelly now headed through there doing the wheel swap here under the Rocky Mountain Red Bear tents. Stu getting ready to throw some goggles on. Gus Reardon now taking off as well as the team continues to try to put that rear tire back on Baylor's machine.
So got our eyes on it now, Zach. We can see Stu Baylor's mechanic right there trying to get something done, trying to get the wheel on.
And that was Craig DeLong that just went by 4th place. So the gamble of the wheel swap so far not working out for Stu Baylor, but we saw just how fast he was able to go early on in the race. So he's going to have to do that again, but not from the point position. He's now maybe 20, 30 seconds back. Looks like we do see Craig DeLong in there doing a wheel swap as well. He got around Baylor, but he himself is mid-wheel swap now. We'll have to get an update from our man Zach Heron to see exactly who already left the pits, or we'll see when they check in here. Zach, if you can hear us, how many riders? There we see Grant Baylor in now. Looks like no rear wheel swap.
No swap for Baylor. 52 seconds on that stop for Stu Baylor. Ben Kelly now headed out of the pits as well, and it looks like one rider might have gotten in between them.
Johnny, what we thought to be Stu Baylor earlier, I believe, was Grant when we saw Ben Kelly just behind him there.
Gotcha. So that was a little mix-up of the Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC Kawasaki's there. We see Josh Trang working his way.
Now it looks like Craig DeLong wrapping up with a tire swap as well. He's now back off and rolling.
So DeLong was in that 4th place position. He has now fallen well back after that wheel swap. I would say, looking at the riders that passed him there, maybe back more towards that 7th or 8th place position. So far, as it runs, now mind you, they're going to have a fresh tire, but it's looking like the wheel swap strategy that we saw from both Baylor and DeLong for sure. We saw them both on camera, not working out. Stu Baylor losing a bunch of positions. Craig DeLong losing a bunch of positions. We'll see the long game. Are they able to make up that time? Do they have better traction? Can they keep a faster pace and drop their lap times enough to make up the positions they've lost and the time that they've lost in those wheel swaps? As you pointed out, a little less than a minute for that wheel swap for Stu Baylor.
We'll see if it's going to pay off for them here today or if they should have went a different route with their tire strategy here. Johnny, we are seeing them making their way up that hill right there, what we thought to be Stu Baylor being Grant Baylor, and as hard of a time as Grant was having going up that hill, he definitely, I believe, needed that tire on.
Yeah, once you get to the point with those gummy tires and the knobs start to come off, there is Grant Davis now just behind Craig DeLong. So I think with the time correction, Davis will actually be ahead of DeLong. Davis was back in that 9th place spot, so that shows you how costly. Craig DeLong was in the 4th place spot when they came in, or at least when they checked in last lap. Don't know how much time he may have lost during the lap, but it looked like he was still up well inside the top 5 physically on the racetrack, now all the way back to that 9th place position. And I think this may be Josh Toth on the 206 machine. It was, so that is 10th place in the running order. So a very, very costly wheel swap for both Stu Baylor and Craig DeLong. In just a matter of about a minute here, we should see those riders start checking in, and we'll reset the running order after a round of pit stops and wheel swaps as well.
Toth making his way through with no goggles, now seeing the Phoenix Honda machine on screen.
And that likely is our physical overall leader, working his way just a few more corners until we'll see him check in with, actually, sorry, he has already checked in now with 3 laps complete with a lap time of 32:59. Gus Reardon with a 33:05, and Stu Baylor has checked in for the moment in the 3rd place position overall. But look at the lap times, a 32:59 for Jordan Ashburn and a 34:34 for Stu Baylor. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at a minute and 35 seconds that Stu Baylor gave up on that last lap of racing.
So there we go, following along now with Gus Reardon as he makes his way down one of these very, very fast roads here at the Yamaha Racing Snowshoe.
Grant Baylor jumping up the running order to the number 4 spot and sitting at 1 hour, 38 minutes, 54 seconds, about 16 seconds behind big brother Stu when they checked in with 3 laps complete. So Baylor, even though he lost a minute and 30-some seconds, he still sits in that 3rd place overall position, but what was a 1 minute and 5 second lead on a lap's time now has him 20 25 seconds behind in the running order as we wait and watch at the 2-mile marker here. Looks like Jason Tino, one of our top XC2 riders, getting a little bit of treatment there in the Red Bull FMF KTM factory pits. Looks like that may be Mike Witkowski on that number 8 Phoenix Racing Honda in and out of the Phoenix Racing Honda pits.
Gonna get some paper towels there to put on the grips, try to get those hands dried off, get some mud off of there.
Josh Strang, Ben Kelly, Grant Davis, and Craig DeLong have now checked in. Craig DeLong did in fact fall back all the way from 4th to 9th place in the running order as they sit currently with that wheel swap that we saw on camera there. Looked like it was a little bit longer wheel swap for Craig DeLong. Stu Baylor in and out quickly at about 50 some odd seconds. Craig DeLong giving up a bit more time there, it seemed, at least on camera. We didn't have a stopwatch on it. Now we see the 220 of Cooper Jones, one of our top riders in that 258 class, not running inside the top 20 overall last lap, but we did just see Lane Whitmer come through, which was our 250A overall leader, and actually, sorry, Cooper Jones there in that 18th place spot and second in that 258 class, just ahead of Chase Landers. Here we see Stu Baylor on screen, 3rd place overall.
Trying to chase down Gus Reardon, who just made his way through, just a few bike lengths ahead of Stu. And taking a look here at the running order on the left side of your screen, Jack Walker running in that 4th place spot. Then Grant Baylor, our 3rd place rider in the XC1 division, 5th on the overall charts.
So Jack Walker now to that number 2 spot again in that XC2 class, and looking at the time behind, it looks like he is about 47 seconds behind Gus Reardon in that XC2 battle on track after time correction.
There went Grant Baylor, and now Jack Walker physically going to be right there with Baylor. One of our amateur riders now going to be making their way through, and I believe this is going to be one of our KTM riders now. That is Ben Kelly making his way by.
And Josh Strang in tow. Josh Strang riding well, sitting in that 6th place spot overall. Then here comes Craig DeLong, 9th place overall after time correction, because some riders coming very soon behind him in the form of Grant Davis, and there he is, pushes him back one more position in the overall rankings.
So there we go, Davis now making his way through. So our top 8 through that camera shot. What did you see, Johnny?
That was Josh Toth there as well. So Toth starting to make up some ground on Davis, and that actually puts him in position to potentially pass Craig DeLong on corrected time as well. Now we see Stu Baylor, Zach Herron pointing out Alex Luger doing a little bit of cardio work there, running through Howard's Hole next to Stu Baylor. He's done that every lap.
I wonder why.
Hey guys, I'm going to jump in real quick down here from the pits. I'm here with Cody Grove, Stu Baylor's mechanic, and we've got the rear tire that came off of Stu Baylor's machine. As you can tell, not much left as far as it goes. A 52-second tire swap, Siege, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. We practiced all week. We knew this tire was going to be really good, and we knew it was going to last for about an hour and a half, and that's about all we got out of her. So we're going to keep on plugging away, see him back in the top spot, and finally get that snowboard.
There it is. Everybody united, one goal, and that's to be on the top step of the box here at Snowshoe.
Well, thank you for that update there, Cody Groves. The team our riders coming through there was Ben Kelly, is Josh Strang. That is 6th and 7th in the running order, and then here comes 342 of Craig DeLong, and there is Davis now right to the rear wheel of DeLong. So he definitely has him on corrected time, having started there on row number 3, whereas Craig DeLong started on row number 1. So he's working with quite a bit of a cushion there when it comes to time correction. Looks like our 3rd place in XC2 has now checked in, Jason Tino, and our points leader, Liam Draper, has also now checked in that 12th place spot overall. So looking at about, oh, look at that. Now Lane Whitmer checks in and pushes Draper back another position back to 13th. So now only 8 points for Draper, whereas Jordan Ashburn sitting in that number 2 spot, only 8 points behind Liam Draper. He would be the points leader as they run, because Jordan Ashburn sitting on 30 points if they finish the way that they are now. And Liam Draper all the way down there in 13th would only earn 8 points for that finish. So it would be a 22-point day to the good for Jordan Ashburn, meaning he would have a sizable points advantage as we head into the summer break, but still plenty of time for things to develop. But Jordan Ashburn known to be very lethal here on the mountain, and it looks like that is who we have on screen. And just behind him, I think that might be Gus Reardon. See just how slippery this section of racetrack is, coming almost to a stop to make sure they get into the right rut. And these are the leaders. Jordan Ashburn leading the way, Gus Reardon in the number 2 spot and in sight of the lead.
Man, what a day for Phoenix Honda right now. Johnny, taking a look here at the points, it's been consistency that is paying the bills here this year for the overall points at least. Liam Draper, Craig DeLong sitting first and third for the points. Neither one of them have found themselves the top spot here in 2026.
Well, let me tell you what else I'm seeing. If we're seeing this correctly, and that is Ashburn, which I believe it is, and Reardon behind him, Gus Reardon would be your overall leader, because Gus Reardon started on row number 2, and he is right on the rear wheel of Jordan Ashburn. So with time correction, he would be, again, your new overall leader and XC2 leader. So again, in a position to potentially earn his first ever overall victory here. We know Stu Baylor, with that fresh tire after that wheel swap, is lurking just behind these guys back at timing and scoring only about about 25 seconds he was behind it. We know he will be charging, but charging right now is Gus Reardon down through the fog, down through the clouds. We can see Reardon trying to go around the outside of Ashburn, take over the physical overall lead, but he already has that lead on time correction as they run on track. And this is the battle of the teammates. 2 Phoenix Racing Hondas, 1 and 2.
So there we go, look at this, a pass trying to be made.
There you can see the difference, 250, 450. You can see Gus Reardon carrying so much speed, had the jump on Jordan Ashburn, but once Jordan Ashburn got that machine straightened out and was able to get the throttle wicked wide open, he just pulled a few bike lengths on Gus Reardon, but this is the battle for the lead as they run.
Look at all the fog here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone as we try to keep up with the riders here. Also something worth mentioning here in this one, Reardon, not only is he battling for those overall points, there's one rider going down. Was that him? Possibly Ashburn, possibly Reardon there. We'll wait just a second, see once we get a static camera shot. So now going to be here at the mile 5 marker. We'll see if we can catch a glimpse of the boys here and see who went down there in that section.
Well, joined in the booth now by a rider we saw out on track earlier today, Caleb Russell. Obviously, I don't know if you heard, but we kind of documented, but we'd like to hear it from yourself. A little bit end to the day, a little bit earlier than expected, running in the number 4 spot on lap number 1, and now you're in the booth with us. Tell us how it all went down.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I think we got a camera here. I thought that was the leaders coming. Snowshoe, man. It is. I didn't fall, didn't do anything dumb. I actually kept it up on 2 wheels for the most part. And I had a stick flip up in front of me in the trail right after this shot, probably like the 6 mile marker. And it flipped up and kind of stuck in the mud and drove straight into my knuckles, my hand. And at first I thought I broke my hand right when it happened, and I was at the bottom of the mountain. I immediately just took a left onto the pavement and rode straight to Dr. Tanner to get an x-ray. So unfortunate way to open the first lap and a half for me. I was in pretty good position and the track was gnarly.
So tell us a little bit about the conditions here today as we wait and watch for our leaders on screen, which we still expect to be Jordan Ashburn. Obviously the rain throughout the weekend, kind of starting on Thursday night, making for some challenging conditions. How would you rate this one as to the difficulty of the track, technical-wise, and also the conditions with the rain?
I would say it's difficult in spots, and they've thrown in a couple of rock gardens that one we haven't done in a while, and then one kind of brand new one. So. And the first 2 are back-to-back, and here we see Jordan on screen. It looks like Stu's right back in the
Wow, Stu Baylor. So that tire swap that cost him quite a bit of time, about a minute, dropped him out of the lead back to that 3rd place spot, already starting to pay dividends, making up 25 seconds on our leader, Jordan Ashburn, in 5 miles of racetrack. So based off that, Caleb, I know a lot of different strategies.
Well, I want to take this back to lap 1. I know I was a minute down at the finish for my pit board, and then when I got to just before this camera shot, I was another 45 seconds down from Stu, from the lead. So he is pinning it from basically the pits through Howard's Hole to this mile 5 section right here. So he's got some good lines, or he's just sending it on these, the climb back up the hill, which in the conditions we have today with the fog and the wet track, it's hard to spot the rocks on these ski slopes, and it's very scary to go extremely, over your head just a little bit. Like, I feel in control and I feel sketchy at the same time. So
Is it more just the vision, not being able to see?
Yeah, it's all of it, because you pull a tear off or you pull your roll off string, and immediately you're roosting yourself, or just you're speckling your goggles with mud and water, and the air's thick right now, and we've got clouds. Kind of, your vision is limited for sure.
We saw Ben Kelly, and also looked like Craig DeLong check through there as well. So that is, I think we might have seen Grant Davis, possibly Josh Toth in there as well, because they were all in a group when we saw them last when they were headed down to Howard's Hole. So the battle just outside the top 5 is really heating up, with about 5 riders in the mix there between Strang, Kelly, Davis, DeLong, and Toth. But back to that kind of the gamble of the tire selection. We saw our man Zach Herron went down, and we did get a shot of Stu Baylor's tire there, running a gummy tire, no knobs left on it, completely chewed up. How do you evaluate, the time potential to be gained running a tire that's going to grip a little better, but they said ahead of time they had done a lot of testing, they could get an hour and a half out of it, which is almost exactly what they got. What are you weighing there when you're trying to make that decision?
Traction, it's the gnarly sections. If you can clean them, it's worth the time made up. Like, the track is so difficult in areas, like if you get hung up with the regular tire to get back going, because things are so steep and so slippery, you waste a lot of time being stuck in one spot, and a lot of energy trying to get the bike moving. So with the gummy tire, you typically don't have the small mistakes that lead into getting hung up, and you can recover very fast. And that was my thought process going into today, and appears to be Stu's too. And we can see he made up that time already in the first camera shot after switching that tire. So, Stu had a gnarly opening lap, and I think that was his game plan, was to send it, try to get a lead, and those guys caught up when his tire went away, but he's already back in the lead. Look at this.
Yeah, he's back in the lead and setting a pace where he's opened up a gap already over Jordan Ashburn. There is Baylor at the 6-mile marker, and now here comes Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot. So the tire swap that looked disastrous just a few moments ago, giving up the lead, dropping to 25 seconds behind, now already back to the point position in just 6 miles. Well, slightly over 6 miles, because he changed it before getting to the finish line. About 7 miles he made up. All of that ground that we saw, I believe 53 seconds is what it took to make that wheel swap to get himself a fresh tire. And without speculating, I don't know if Zach confirmed, but I would assume likely putting that same tire back on. Now we see
Jack
Walker charging. So he is really putting in a good charge, and there is Grant Baylor just behind him as well.
Yeah, and they're dropping. And what's impressive to me, I wasn't around Stu any, but the first 5 miles are pretty straightforward. From the 5 to the 6 is got a technical section in there, and it's kind of sloppy and muddy, where the trials tire isn't, or not the trials tire, but the gummy tire isn't that big of an advantage. But I guess the ski slopes, it allows you to get traction and ride some insides and stay out of that outside berm that's all chewed up and jagged edges. So he's probably creeping some insides and just getting traction where these guys are spinning and losing the forward momentum.
Well, when you talk about intensity that Stu Baylor has on those ski slopes, Jordan Ashburn showing some serious intensity of his own right now. We see the outriggers are out, both legs flopping, trying to stay smooth through those ruts to try to keep Stu Baylor in sight. Now back just a little bit further. Here's Jack Walker. So just when we think we have potentially a 3-rider battle for the win, Jack Walker is almost to the point where he is in sight of those guys on the track. And just behind him, Grant Baylor wants to join the party after winning our last round. And Grant Baylor is a rider that we know, without question, seems to get stronger as these races go on. We've seen him so many times outside the top 5, even outside the top 10 midway through a race, which we're about 2/3 of the way through the race right now, with 3 laps complete at the 7-mile marker on lap number 4 for what we're expecting to be a 5-lap race. Look at this, Grant Davis pitching the goggles right there on camera. Looked like he had just run out of tear-offs, run out of clear vision, and just saying, we're going to go without the goggles. But Grant Baylor definitely going to be a one to keep an eye on late in this one, because he seems to just get the flow of the track and pick up the pace as the race goes on.
Yeah, Johnny, 5th place here for Grant Baylor last year.
And there is Ben Kelly, and just behind him, Craig DeLong, another rider we saw and know has a fresh rear tire, only 7.5, 8 miles on that tire. So some of these other riders working with a tire that's near 2 hours old. And looking back a little further, we see just how challenging these sections are. This rider looking like he might be trying to put his chain back on. He's taking a look down. There's something going on with that machine. Rolling it backwards, it looks like he is. He was putting the chain back on, so coming through that rut, looks like the chain got derailed. He's going to fire that machine back up, and maybe not.
He's
just
going to
yet.
try to.
he's going to try to bump start it. That would be quite the feat because that is a flat section of racetrack right there.
Yeah, there's it's going to be tough to get traction to bump it too, and that mud right there is very slimy.
Yeah, just pushing it out of the way will be a feat on its own.
Here at the 7-mile marker, Stu Baylor back in the lead. Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot. Gus Reardon third. And Jack Walker joining the party just behind these guys on track. Can almost see them in some of the slightly longer sections of racetrack. Oh, look at that. Little miscue and a pause of the camera. He saved it.
Josh Toth making his way by.
So Toth now has lost the toe of that group that he was with. He was with DeLong, Davis, and Kelly. He has now lost probably 45 seconds to a minute from that group. And that just goes to show you some of these sections of racetrack. You mentioned that technical section. We have the camera shot there at the 4. That's all off camber with a lot of roots. We actually saw you, there's a rider showing you just how technical even this section is. But when you come in, it's the commitment to those lines, the roots changing, the ruts changing every lap, and things just continuing more to get deeper into this Snowshoe GNCC, Jackson.
Sure is, Johnny. Something we haven't talked about much today. XC2 has a tie in the points going into this one, and we're going to see who is going to leave here the points leader. Will it be Reardon or Tino or Walker? Right now, Reardon in a great spot to do just that. This has been one for the books so far already. The boys getting some tire changes, and they are back off and rolling for the second half. It's Yamaha Snowshoe GNCC. It has been a tough one, not only for these guys, for our youth riders, our AM riders, and now our PM Pro Race, having to go through the mud of Snowshoe, West Virginia. We'll be right back with more action on Flow Racing.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line on the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
When I came here to the ranch, like right when you roll through the gates, everyone kind of says you feel the same thing. This is such a special place.
Welcome to Best 42 in the land. All ages from kids up to grown men. Walk through the gates of the coal miner's daughter to make a point clearer than the creek water. But who's the best? Who's it gonna be? In Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Can you feel the adrenaline? Dirt flies in the tires by the wind spin. Feel the crowd, everybody's listening. Right on the field. Do what you gotta do. The 20+2 out at the ranch.
I love coming to Loretta's. This is my family, right? really special for me, so a lot of good memories.
Love coming here to Loretta's.
In 1975, a small town in West Virginia named Davis was the site of a revolution because it's there that promoter Big Dave Coombs and his family put on an off-road motorcycle race the likes of which the world had never seen before. It was called the Blackwater 100, but known simply as America's toughest race. And it gave birth to what is now known as the Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, the largest off-road racing series in the world. 50 years of history means 50 years of characters in the trenches, creating a legacy. And there's a feature film coming with stories like this.
Motivation is, you know, day by day. Every day I wake up, I lose motivation to go out there and suffer, you know, but I do it. And when I start doing it, I'm willing to go to the max. That's why it's hard for me to do it, because mentally when I'm going to line up and going to practice, I practice hard as hell. For me to be good on the weekends, I got to show up every day that I ride. For me, that's how I get it done.
I'm Jason Wygant, and I hope you'll join us in celebrating the history of the Blackwater 100 and GNCC racing as we anticipate the motorcycle movie event of the decade. We'll see you at the theater.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here to round number 9, the Yamaha Snowshoe GNCC. And the question on everyone's mind is, who is going to be king of the mountain here in 2026? The fans lined up here at the FMF PowerPoint Jackson. Everybody wanting to get a shot and a glimpse of the leaders as they make their way through.
Yeah, Zach, this has been a tough hill for the guys right here. This is the one where we saw Grant Baylor the last time around before he got that tire swap having some real trouble making it up in a good spot for the fans, though, no doubt.
Now, I will say Grant Baylor, no tire swap. Stu Baylor did the tire swap.
Grant did not get a tire swap.
Did not get a tire swap.
It looked to be a real struggle for him to make it up that hill just a lap ago. So no tire swap for Grant Baylor. That might be trouble for him.
Yeah, the Grizzly, our winner from the previous round, continuing to climb his way forward. We know he seems to get stronger as the race goes on. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe we were able to catch up with Grant a little bit earlier this weekend and talk to him about what it takes to get the job done here at Snowshoe.
Really, the only different setup here, I would say, would be we put some toe straps on the rear. At the back of the seat, we'll put a toe strap, and then right on the front of the fender, or on the front of the number plate, we'll put a toe strap up there as well. And yeah, other than that, for me, I run the full wraparounds everywhere. I'm, I believe, the only guy that runs them at least up in the pro level. So yeah, for me, I run them everywhere, and you know, especially at this race, I don't know why you wouldn't run them, because if you fall down those rocks, man, you're gonna bust a lever off, or even worse, bust the whole perch off and everything. So yeah, other than that, we may run some extra mud grips on there, just the little strip that you put on the front of the grip. So yeah, for me, it'll be basically just a normal setup. We'll probably do some extra foam and stuff with the mud, because it'll be pretty nasty out there. I think this will be one of the worst snowshoes we've seen in a while. So as far as technical wise, I think I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Well, there we go. Great to hear from Grant. And like I said, I did not see him. He came into the pit. Stu getting that tire swap. Grant not sure if the team's maybe planning on doing it on a different lap, but at least for the moment, Grant just continuing forward. But a good little insight as to the little bits and pieces of preparation that go into an event like this. Caleb, I'm sure you can speak to this as well. There's a lot of little things. We've even heard Stu out at Loretta Lynn's kind of giving the moto guys a bit of crap, talking about you guys don't know how to prepare for this kind of stuff, whereas you guys have all kinds of tricks of the trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's two totally different sports. I mean, it's dirt bike racing, but you know, in moto, you don't get these types of conditions.
Right.
You know, you get some mud here and there if it rains, but yeah, so they don't have the experience. But to speak on Grant Steyer, I noticed on the starting line when I was sitting there, it looked like he had a completely different Pirelli on his bike. So I'm sure it was you know, more of a normal tire, not a gummy. So that would explain him not needing to stop.
And I don't believe I even saw Toth stop at all the last time through the pits either. Was up on the pegs, weaving his way through the chicane. So Toth continuing to charge his way forward as we pick up here at the 10-mile mark. You see our official spotter, Dave Hollywood Kripe. And I'm sure he's radioing in Big Bad Stu, making his way around. Baylor on the charge.
Yeah, and you see that inside line right there, like in the rocks. He didn't have to worry about going out and getting in that quad berm that was out there to have something to bank off of. So that's really where that gummy tire, man. I know this section right here was really impressive. I was on it, and you know, I thought it was a good choice. I was you know, digging it where it was gnarly and just making a mistake and getting plenty of traction.
See a little point over there from one of the lap riders, helping Jordan Ashburn get around clean.
Got about a 20-second lead.
Yeah, it looks like he's carrying a lot more intensity than what we've been seeing from him.
So Ashburn certainly not out of this one yet. Baylor was able to track him down and put
Jack Walker back into the lead in XC2 with Gus right on it too.
So these guys going at it, and different start rows for these two as well. So the time correction going to play into Walker's favor.
Yeah, like I was saying, there's a heated points battle there for that XC2 as well between Gus and Tino, and then Walker going to be a few points back from him, but nonetheless, if Walker can get the win here, that'll definitely Tino against Reardon with those points.
Catching our riders here on the Yamaha Racing Live drone, peeking back off into the woods.
Yeah, we can't see in these woods right here, but it's really, you know, this hill right here is difficult with all the people, but at the top of that thing, it's just bony and no traction. So if there's 2 or 3 guys stuck on that in those woods right there just before the pits, it could be disastrous. It's very tight and there's nowhere to go. Like, it's a bank on one side, cliff on the other, basically. So it'd be interesting to see these next 2 laps how clogged up even that little section gets.
No doubt about it.
And it looked like Stu got stuck in there, maybe hung up. I can't tell if that's Stu or if that's Grant now. Nope, that was
Stu.
Yeah, so it's, by my eye, it seemed like he got hung up in there.
Yeah, I saw what you were talking about there, and you can see the feet off the pegs, the Cowie dancing around underneath him.
Yeah, I've not got to see this hill in person, but I know it has to be worse than you can ever anticipate. Oh, just like what you were saying, Caleb.
Yeah, Lapper cutting Jack off. I mean, he's just trying to make it up the hill. He doesn't know who's behind him, so it's part of the game.
Riders going to make their way back down through the pro row. Stu getting a little sign there from some of his team, choosing not to get the water bottle from his wife, Jade, there. As I was saying, any hills, something like this, it is way worse than what the camera can ever show.
Yeah.
Like over at the finish line, it looks like it's a flat section. That is a very off-camber section there. Just like the one we're in right now, Jack Walker going to be making his way by.
It'll be interesting too. I know Jack on that 2-stroke. At a typical race, he's stopping every 2 laps.
Yep.
So I'm gonna guess he's gonna stop here. I think I seen him throw his goggles. Yeah, he's got his goggles on his hand, so he's definitely getting some goggles. Yep, they got the dump can out ready.
So there you see
the goggles.
Jack Walker into the Liqui-Moly Factory Beta racing rig. Fresh set of goggles on, the fuel goes in. And just like that, he's back off and rolling.
Caleb, what do you think the biggest disadvantage to riding that 2-stroke is? Having to stop every 2 laps?
Yeah, absolutely. And at Snowshoe, look at that. Gus got back in front of him while he was in the pits too. I believe that was Gus.
Yep, I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah, the 2-stroke is nice. Like in these sections, you know, it's kind of an advantage on some of this track, and some of it's a disadvantage. But yeah, absolutely. You know, having to gas every 2 laps, just the fuel consumption's higher.
And then before you know it, Reardon right around you, just like that.
Reardon right in the mix there, physically in front of him. Don't forget on that time correction, though, I believe Walker was 1 to 2 rows behind, so it could be anywhere from 3 to maybe as much as 10 seconds, depending on when exactly that row took off. There you see Reardon.
Ashburn just ahead of him. Now Reardon making his way by, and then there's Jack Walker on that 2-stroke machine. That's going to be a good battle there for the XC2. Now, is this Stu making his way through? It is.
Grizzly Grant.
Oh, it is Grant.
Yep, so he's caught up just a little bit back to those guys. We'll see what happens in the next couple of miles. I know Grant, he likes to play it conservative on those roads, and the young kids might send it a little bit harder.
And that's something, we even heard Brandy Richards talking about on the podium today, kind of the duality of Snowshoe. You've got technical sections where she was like, we're going maybe 5 miles an hour or less, and then you get up on these roads and you are clicking gears wide open, kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. And to my point of like looking at these roads, like coming into the finish here, you think you're going to get a break, but man, you got to stay so focused and on point, and your grips are muddy and everything's slippery. Like, you don't have that good of a grip on the motorcycle, and man, you tag one of these rocks wrong going 45, 50 miles an hour. I would say if it was dry, the speeds would be higher, but I think it's worse when it's like this, because if you get out of this line right here to the left or to the right, it's so slippery. Right here where Stu's at, he's kind of where the traction's at, but man, there's even this little bit right here, it's quite challenging. Like, you can't see the jaggedness of all this terrain that he's making look effortless at the moment.
Just saw over my shoulder Craig DeLong making his way in and out of the pro pit, so that gives you an idea of the gaps that we're working with back to about that 8th, 9th place spot.
So white flag coming out for Stu Baylor. 1 more lap to go as we get a great example of the speeds opening up here on the Yamaha Racing Live Drone.
And Zach, compared to some of the races we saw earlier, our AM race especially, not near the gaps here for this one as what we saw, some 5, 10, 15-minute gaps there for our WXC riders.
Well, and this has been the talking point of the top of the field, and at this point it stems beyond the XC1 class, even to the top of the XC2, and we've seen top A riders up in the mix as well. Everybody is so good now at this point. They all put in so much work that it's about limiting those bad days just as much as keeping consistent good days, and that's much easier said than done. And so Baylor right now pushing the pace, but yeah, just like you said, we've had huge gaps all day long, it seems like in all of our classes, but here at the top of the field in XC1, XC2, they are still wheel to wheel, and then you throw the time adjustment in on top of it, and it takes it from seconds down to tenths, maybe even hundredths of seconds.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a close day of racing. The top 4 right here, or 4 or 5, are in the ballpark, fairly close. Then it's kind of strung out quite a bit, but that second pack is in the same area of 2, 3, 5 seconds.
Yep.
I kind of look for Stu to probably put a stamp on this thing halfway through this lap here and be pretty patient on this other side.
Here he is.
He's going for his first snowboard here, so he's going to make sure he does, barring any sort of incident and mechanical. He's looks like he's on his way.
Baylor on the charge, and we've talked about it, not just trying to grab what would be his first overall win here at Snowshoe, but trying to keep those title hopes alive. Johnny talked about it earlier. There was a point where if you said Stu Baylor was still in this fight, somebody might have looked at you a little funny, but at this point, you never, and he is certainly mathematically still in the fight. We were able to catch up with your current leader, talk a little bit about the point scenario coming into Snowshoe.
Yeah, at this point, third's great. Like, definitely nothing to be upset about, but for me, at this point, I need wins to get back into the championship chase, and obviously with one more round not counting for the pro class, we need them that much more. So, yeah, at this point in the season, you look back and you see three DNFs out of our program, and where we're at in the points. It should be a much different story, and in all those cases, it was stupid things that took us out, and just extremely frustrating when you look back through the season at this point.
Well, Stu trying to leave the past behind him and trying to focus forward and focus on a snowboard at the end of this one. Caleb, like you talked about, Stu, He's very real. He's real with us. He's real with himself. He says it. This is what it's going to take. I got to not just score consistent points. I got to take wins.
Yeah, absolutely. It's he's had those 3 DNFs and dug himself a huge hole. But this season reminds me a lot of 2022 when Jordan won it. It's super inconsistent across the board for the top 5. Look, Ashburn was leading the points and had a 12th and a 13th and a 9th, and kind of unheard of out of the points leader. And then Liam's back in 13th overall currently. So it's been one of those wild seasons here.
Yeah, this is a big shakeup in the points.
No doubt about it.
This could be a huge day for Stu Baylor here.
We see Jack Walker making a mistake in Howard's Hole here, losing some time. So we just got word Stu came through about a minute ago. We missed him on camera, but the top 3 were right together, but Jack Walker still hung up. He's lost about 15 seconds so far here.
Yeah, continuing to have trouble. Do either one of you know if
right there's Grizzly. Grant's right on him now. So he lost 15, 20 seconds in, a matter of 20 feet right there.
I'm assuming Jack has an electric start on that machine. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah, I've never walked over and taken a look at it.
I believe so. I've never thought about it until he started stalling it out there in those rocks, and that could be a big factor.
It's one of those things where, like we were talking about earlier, with that gummy tire, you lose your momentum. It's twice as hard to get going with a normal tire. There's rocks all in this mud all over the place. I'm pointing at the screen like everybody can see me here, but there's rocks buried underneath this water and mud that you can't see. And he made that mistake and got hung. He got so.
Yeah, that was something that we talked about all day long, even with our youth riders this morning. There's a lot of rocks that you can't see, even in the sections that isn't watered down like this is right here. And one of those rocks catches you off guard wide open, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy to happen. And they've opened up quite a gap back to 6th place rider Grant and Craig. And Toth was a little bit further back from them. We haven't seen them on camera in a hot minute here.
So to give a little better idea, Caleb, kind of what you were talking about, let me know if I'm on track here. You're talking about fair amount of rocks in this section over here, and then we've seen several riders go out to this side, way back here, super deep muddy waters as well. But as we watch Grant Davis make his way through, like you talk about, being able to anticipate what lies beneath that water level, kind of crucial as well.
Yeah, it's as soon as, like I said, as soon as you lose your momentum, you get hung up on something you can't even see. So, once you make this turn where kind of Craig is on the inside of that island those young ladies are standing on, if right after that, if you mess up, it's hard to get going in that stuff. That it's quite deeper, and there's little sinkholes in there and just jagged rocks.
Yeah, you never know when one of those sections is going to go from 6 inches of water to 2 feet.
Yeah, it just keeps digging. A lot of this is, solid rock now, but there are pockets in between that just keep digging.
We had Lars Tribune, world downhill commentator and former racer as well, up in the booth with us earlier, and he brought up a good point. The way you guys go about actually sighting things out is, I believe that was Gus we just saw at the bottom of your screen. What is it that you and the other riders are looking for as far as how you kind of try to decide where your line's going to go? What really sticks out to you when you guys spot this thing out?
We look for the fastest way, and then the next thing you look for is the easiest way, and you kind of mitigate what's what and try to figure out, all right, what can I do consistently, and then where can I go if somebody gets hung up, is kind of how I look at it. And I would say all the the top pros kind of look at it the same way. We spend 20-30 minutes walking back and forth down in here and just making sense of what we're looking at, and I try to find the fastest way through it. And then on the opening lap, it's tough because we go straight into Howard's Hole. So you want to try to make a couple of passes, and you guys probably got me on camera falling off that. I tried to jump off the rock and pass string, and I went wide and got into that bank. So here we got Stu on the cam. Where is it? Might be Gus and Ashburn.
Yep, taking a look. 2 and 3 on camera here.
Yeah, it looks like Gus is back into 2nd place physically, and Ashburn's in 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Trying to see if we can get a glimpse. Is getting a real great idea as to the speed they're carrying through some of these sections.
So when they checked in for 4 laps complete, it was a 48-second gap between Ashburn and Stu Baylor. There's no doubt about it, guys. At this point, if Stu Baylor's only going to be happy with a win, I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peering on the screen here, trying to see exactly who's who. Everybody kind of a matching shade of Snowshoe. Trying to get him popping back out of the woods here on the Yamaha Racing live drone.
Yeah, that's...
I think that is Gus.
Yeah, I believe it is Gus. And then
Jordan
Ashburn,
right behind.
You see, and two, like what you can't see is in these little switchbacks in these woods, man. As soon as you make the turn, it's just polished ice, like just polished rocks. They're jagged, square edge, and it's very hard to get the drive. That looks.
As we watch the drag race.
Here comes the 450.
Up to the top of the hill, Jordan Ashburn letting the Honda eat.
Could that have been the pass right there? They go out of sight behind the trees. Let's wait for them to pop out.
And yeah, our producer brings up a good point, Caleb. We talk about the track in an ever state, changing state, always a little bit different. We had rain early on, then some cloud cover. Now the sun's starting to peek out. With these conditions, do you think it's something where we could feel the soil kind of start to tack up at all, or is the damage kind of already done from the rain throughout the weekend?
No, it's definitely tacking up. You can see on screen it's starting to darken. The soil's starting to darken where the main lines are, and that's what makes it even more difficult to pass, because that dark soil, you're getting traction, getting grip, and that lighter color soil is still wet and very slippery. So yeah, we could see the difference between the 250 and the 450 and how Jordan was able to get traction, where Gus was underpowered because there was actually the 450 was actually making power now.
Having to read the terrain, that's what makes you guys the best in the business, is how fast you can read that terrain. But in our AM race, we saw just a very thin, soupy mud, as now, one of our riders going down. Gus down, so that's going to allow Ashburn back by.
Yeah, there's some gnarly roots right there, and it's so easy to just misplace your front wheel. And Jack Walker making the pass back. So Jack actually caught back up. He made that 20 seconds back up, coming up that ski slope. And then Grant's right on him, too. So we're going to have a heck of a fight for the podium.
Yeah, this is going to be an all-out brawl in the final few miles.
Yeah, and Jack Walker's in the driver's seat right now with starting on row 3. So he's kind of... He's right there. He doesn't need to make any more passes, and he's got second overall in the bag.
And we've talked about it, the unique starting feature here in GNCC. We've heard from Stu before. He's very adamant about wanting to know where people are, kind of wants as much information as he can get. You yourself, Caleb, what do you prefer? Do you care where anyone else is at, or are you only focused on yourself in the moment? How much information do you like to get from the team?
It's always nice to have a good information and know where you're at and what needs to happen. But, in a race like this, it's most of the time in racing in general, I'm already trying as hard as I can, so it is what it is.
Right.
But obviously, in Jack's spot, like somebody needs to tell him, hey, second overall, you're good. Like I said, barring a mistake from Stu here, I'm sure he's probably got a roughly a minute lead at this point. If I would assume, we haven't seen him on camera. But yeah, just the
Being a bad knee, man, I'd had to just go over.
you want to know what overall position
Right.
you're in, and then time podium or time to the lead. But it is definitely it's been very difficult this year with the XC2 guys always being right up in the mix. For the last 2 years, the guys are in the mix, and it's definitely more difficult. So here we go. That's Ash. No, that's Toast. No, that's a lap rider. Yeah,
it did look like Toast.
Yeah, he had really good form coming down that hill.
That rider going to be pumped when he goes back and watches.
So as you were talking about XC2 there, so Walker going to have the time advantage on his side. Reardon going to be having to deal with the same thing that row number 1 is usually dealing with, as he was on row 2 and here in this one. Jack, I'm not sure if Jack Walker was on 3 or 4.
Jack was 3, I believe, yep.
So Jack Walker taking off on 3. So if they come wheel to wheel, as we see Stu Baylor on screen.
Shaking his head, he must have gotten to a lapper. 23:56, 57. We'll see what he's got here.
So what has the gap opened up to, or has it been cut down?
As we wait for him, as I was saying, if they come through wheel to wheel, Walker does have that time advantage on his side.
Taking a look a little bit further back, just outside the top 10, a couple of brothers going at it. Cole Whitmer and Lane Whitmer sitting 12th and 13th. Different classes for the two of them, but still competing. Top amateurs being recognized after the race on the podium as well. Right now it's Swole Cole, as they like to say, older brother, I believe, and Lane, younger brother, just behind in that number 13 spot. Cooper Jones and Chase Landers also inside the top 20 out of our A classes.
A lot of time going by here. As you guys watch, it is Walker, Reardon, Tino in the top 3. There we go.
There comes Ashburn, and it's right at pretty much 58 seconds, 59 seconds. I mean, it's a minute.
So a little bit of time has been gained here by Stu Baylor.
With Ashburn comes that freight train. Baylor just a couple of bike lanes back. Reardon and Walker still going at it.
As I was saying, just behind Tino, we see Simon in the 4th place spot, Cleveland in 5th for our XC2, Johnson and Lipscomb rounding it out, 6th and 7th. Open A, Cole Whitmer leading the way over Van Adams and Will Sievenpiper. Trying to take a look here at our 250A division. It is Lane Whitmer, followed by Cooper Jones, Chase Landers, and Colton Shields and Collier Martinez going to round out the top 5 for that 250A division. 150A, Colton McQuarrie going to be leading the way. Landon Barker in 2nd, Charlie Simpson 3rd.
Here we go, battle back on screen at the 7-mile mark. See the riders kicking the feet off the side, sometimes just counterbalance, sometimes actually having to dab the foot down.
Grant losing some time to the Ashburn-Walker-Gus battle here.
Yeah, seems like Reardon and Walker have kind of picked things up, and Ashburn matching that pace. Baylor.
Yeah, that's strange because the trail from the 6 to the 7 is pretty straightforward. It's down the mountain, service roads, but very technical service roads. So, I mean, one little mistake with the lapper, get squirrely, get hung up.
Yeah.
That might have been what happened there, but yeah, he lost 8, 10, 12 seconds.
I got to just think that the overall balance so crucial in conditions like this, where you've got the ruts dug out, and especially as long as they get in some of these sections, I feel like it'd be so easy just to get thrown off ever so slightly.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Balance is super key, and you know, races like this in general, these long ruts down these hills. So the more you can stand up and keep your feet on the pegs and keep the bike balanced, like the easier you can breathe. You got your legs out doggy paddle and the bike's going left and right, like you're using more muscles, you're wasting energy, and that's a very good point. And this whole section from here to the meltdown is difficult, and there's probably about half mile to 3/4 where it's just basically 3 ruts, 2 for your feet and 1 for your bike. So technically there's 6 ruts because there's usually two rows of them.
Perfect example right there. You can see that rider just having to do a quick sit, put the leg out, good save, keeps it moving forward, but certainly impressive to watch what these riders do and make it look easy while they do it. As we're getting down to the final few miles of racing, the white flag is officially waving, and Stu Baylor continues to inch himself closer to what would be his first overall victory here atop of Snowshoe. He said it before, he's gotten the XC1 win, but just missed out on the overall, but it is far from over yet. A couple of miles, which means plenty of things can still happen. We've got one heck of a battle for, if not for the win, at least for the back half of the podium. Jack Walker, Gus Reardon, Jordan Ashburn. Go ahead, throw the Grizzly in there as well. Getting a little look at Walker right there, getting thrown sideways in Howard's hole. Able to make some time back up. But the fight is certainly still on. Nothing decided quite yet, as the king of snowshoes yet to be crowned. How's it going to play out? We'll find out when we come back right here on Racer TV on Flow Sports.
born of family values and a homegrown work ethic. Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Hey race fans! Gear Bicycles is on hand today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it can be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to round number 9, the Yamaha Snowshoe GNCC. As we are closing in on the final few miles of racing. Turn your microphone off, Adam. Stu Baylor out front leading the way and trying to take home his first snowboard atop the mountain. We heard from Wyatt Wilkin yesterday. He said that snowboard is going on the shelf. It is staying on the shelf. I don't know if I can see Stu, carving the slopes up on it or not, but he's got to get his hands on it first. And certainly one of the more unique trophies here at the GNCC circuit. And one that's definitely going to mean a ton. Caleb, we talk about, obviously, a GNCC title, incredible. To grab a win at any of these locations, incredible. But Snowshoe always, I would just think, got to be looked at a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a unique event. It's one of the hardest on the circuit. It's a really cool trophy to, hang up on your wall.
Oh, yeah.
I've never used one of mine. I've got several of them. I've won Snowshoe 6 times, and I only got 4 snowboards, though. So prior to the snowboards, it was different trophies, but the snowboards are definitely the coolest ones.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to get to come back here to Snowshoe Mountain ride one of them one day.
Yeah, I need to get some. I'm not a boarder. I'm a skier, so I haven't put any bindings on mine. I got one in my shop bathroom at my place is kind of where I've got my Erzberg Prologue Win headlight in there and a Snowshoe trophy and a Racer X poster, and then upstairs in my little man cave, I'm still working on it. It's where I keep the rest of them, but
nice.
It's definitely cool.
So the bathroom, that's where one of them's at.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time.
That's what I was about to say. Something good to look at.
Plenty to admire there, no doubt about it.
No, I needed some art on the wall. What better thing to put on there than some trophies?
We'll have to do a Racer TV Cribs. I want to check that man cave out when it's done. I'm sure all kinds of cool trophies up there for sure.
Yeah, back when I could win these races quite easily, it was I got a bunch stacked up. But man, it was a rough go this year for me. Last year was terrible as well, and man, I'm getting closer, and it's just sometimes I've been the nail a lot this year and the last 2 years. So definitely frustrating for myself and the team and Yamaha. It's the guys are. I really don't think the pace is a whole lot faster. I think it's definitely the level has gotten higher, but all the guys are going that speed now for the most part. And now you got XC2 guys going that speed as well, if not faster on the first lap to catch that tail end of us. And man, it's about to start more than ever now, and making sure you stay in position. And I just have not been able to do that. And it's definitely when you're a racer and you've won as much as I have, it's frustrating when you can't do it as easily as it once was. So, 4 years is a long time off the bike, not to make any excuses, and I definitely thought I was going to be more in the mix than I have been.
Well, it's certainly been, I think, if anything, great to have Caleb Russell back at the races. I know the fans have been super excited about it, and I've been super excited about it. I know Jackson and I, you were retired when we first started, and we thought we'd never get a chance to see KR racing here at GNCC, but obviously it's great to have you here. It's great to have you in the booth as well. Really cool to see the way that yourself and all of you top-level athletes break things down, whether it's looking at the track, going up the inside, or even the points breakdown. We're going to bring up what your top 10 looks like as far as the points go. We talked about doing the math. Liam Draper out front coming into this round with 153 points. Last we saw sitting in the 13th OA spot. 13th at our last round was Jordan Ashburn, who's in the second place spot with 145 points. Craig DeLong, Ben Kelly, and Stu Baylor all within less than 10 points of one another. Certainly still wide open. It's going to take a lot from Stu, but as far as between Stu, Ben, and Craig.
If you look at it like this as how they run. Yep. So here's how they would run now. So I was getting ready to
read your mind.
He's going to jump up into third place overall, and he's 9 points back. So he's right back in the mix, and it's cracked wide back open again here. All the guys are still pretty tight within one race, and with 3 races left that count for points, it's going to be interesting come down the stretch. So
Stu Baylor said he had to get wins under his belt, and if he's able to do it here today, he's going to go from 29 to 9 points. That is a big jump.
No doubt about it. And, it's even like we touched on, and the way you've talked about the elevation of the sport over the years. And I think a lot of people kind of point the cap to you in that as far as raising that bar up. And now across the board, you see so many riders we see in our A classes, even our super mini riders. They've got programs truly dialed in. They've got the nutrition dialed in. They've got fitness work that they're doing on bike and off bike. It's really cool to see trickling all the way down to our micro and youth racers, the way this sport has been embraced. You bring on-track schools into the equation as well, and you can pretty much live, eat, sleep, and breathe GNCC from a very young age.
Yeah, absolutely. The evolution in the last 10 years has been wild to see. I started taking training, really seriously right about the 2015, 2016. I started going to Alden's, and then the e-bike came out, and now everybody has an e-bike. Everybody can get around the tracks now. So there's no more advantage of knowing where you're going anymore. Everybody knows where they're going. Everybody knows the lines, the best way to get around the track. And, the training side is infiltrated all the way down to the youth ranks as far as, being more structured. And it just rising tides lift all boats.
Yep, no doubt about it. Certainly a ton of fun for us, and it keeps these championships so exciting and so many question marks, where now it's not about who can get the podiums, who can get the wins, but who can prevent that bad race, right? That DNF, that finish outside the top 10. And man, the margin for error has become maybe thinner than ever now.
Yeah, absolutely. It has. It hasn't. Here we got Stu. He's at the 10-mile marker up the mountain one final time, and he'll have his first snowboard 37.53 past that tent right there. So we'll put a marker on him, see how much of a lead he's got. But I would say he's looking to cruise it into the finish and soak it up.
Well, guys, now that we're just a few minutes out, just a few miles out, I'm going to head down there so that we can get our interviews after. Caleb, I hate it had to be on these terms, but glad to get to hang out with you. Glad to have you in the booth with us here for a minute.
Yeah, no worries, guys. I walked over here. I didn't have anything else going on,
So Jackson headed to the finish line, and probably very excited for this one. If Stu Baylor's able to hang on, it is going to be a fun interview to listen to. And I think, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see this battle for second place, how all this is going to shape out. Jack Walker, Gus Rood, and Jordan Ashburn and Grant Baylor were all pretty much wheel to wheel, and then Baylor a couple of wheels back behind that, right there in the mix as well. And with the time adjustment, start rows, it's anybody's guess still as far as what the back half of the podium is going to look like.
Absolutely, because before this camera shot right here, it is probably one of the gnarliest sections. Well, this whole side, there's 3 spots. There's what they call the meltdown. The meltdown hill is very gnarly, and then you have some decent trail that's not crazy, but it's still difficult. Here it is, and it looks like Ashburn's still out front. Gus back into the 3rd spot, and we have no Jack Walker.
So wait a second, big shake-up as Jack Walker.
We get Stu going up the hill on the screen here.
No Baylor bump needed there. Moves him out of the way and heads back out of sight. Getting that much closer to a first overall win here.
I would say Gus probably doesn't know exactly where Jack is, but he knows he started behind him, so he's going to be, him and Jordan are going to be pushing. Obviously, Gus has Jordan on overall right now because Jordan started row 1, Gus row 2, and then Walker row 3, and he wasn't on screen, so it's going to be interesting to see that playing out the next 2 miles here.
Little glance back there from Baylor as he makes his way through the pits for the final time. Going to make the big 180, and just like we talked about, cruising his way through, no need for simple mistakes. Going to toss the goggles, it looked like, as there is the Grizzly Grant Baylor making his way through here at the 10-mile mark.
Currently sitting in that 3rd place spot in that XC1 class and 5th place overall. Looked like Stu Baylor pitched the goggles coming through the VP Fuels Pro row there. We saw from our Yamaha Racing live drone. Really nothing between here and there they need him for, and probably just trying to get some fresh air to finish this one out and grab what would be his first ever win here atop Snowshoe Mountain.
Just as you say, really nothing in between here and the finish. These 2 sections
well,
right here can be something, John.
Yeah, I just meant in terms of getting roosted, like big mud. No, those roots are gnarly in that section for sure, but goggles aren't going to help you with that.
No. Even this downhill right here, man, one rolling rock, it's incredibly steep.
Yeah. But honestly, sometimes this late in a race, potentially pitching the goggles could be helpful for vision in those darker sections.
What was it? 3 years ago, we seen Grant Baylor mess up at the bottom of this and hit the telephone pole and allowed Johnny Girard to sneak away and get as much that 5 seconds that he needed to win the overall.
There we see a fist pump from Baylor right there. The fans cheering him on, and he is now down to this paved section of road and then essentially an access trail on the other side of the road.
Yep, now from this point on, it's pretty smooth sailing.
Baylor fired up with a fist in the air. He's wanted this one for so long. Like he said at the start of the show, has gotten an XC1 class win, but it came down to, I believe it was 3 seconds between himself and Josh Toth last year on adjusted time. Toth getting the overall, but 2026 looks to be Stu Baylor's year here at Snowshoe if he can hang on for just a little bit more.
Look at this rider left of screen. We can't see him now, but he's actually pushing his machine, showing you just how difficult this hill climb is. Obviously, the pro riders motoring up it on the rear wheel, but you can see just the back end of his bike there. It is such a challenging section. Now the fans jumping in to give him a little bit of a hand to get up that final little lip there at the top. And even after that, there's still that climb coming right up into the pro pits that we've seen bottlenecks on before it gets so slippery.
Continuing to watch here from mile 12, the FMF PowerPoint.
Looks like we've got some leaders coming, and
Gus.
Yeah, Gus has gotten around Jordan. He is definitely pushing, knowing that XC1 win hanging in the balance, not knowing where Jack Walker is behind him, like you pointed out there, Caleb. He's got a little bit of corrected time that he's got to make sure that he has enough of a gap on Jack Walker, but that is Ashburn there. See where Walker's at.
And as it stands here, I believe he's, barring any sort of mistake from here to the finish, I believe he's going to get the job done on the XC2 win.
Neither of those riders there are the 19 of Jack Walker. So something definitely changing there.
Yeah, wondering if something happened to Walker. We haven't caught him in the last couple of camera shots through here. Meanwhile, on final approach, he gets the job done. Finally, in 2026, Stu Baylor is a Snowshoe overall winner. The snowboard is his, and he is fired up for this one. Certainly well-deserved after an incredible performance, not only from him, but the team executing that tire swap, or wheel swap, I should say. 52 seconds. Looked a little questionable there at the moment, but man, did it pay off, and a very emotional Stu Baylor after this one. There it is. What was that, a man flip? He didn't think he just picked that thing up. He was so pumped up.
One thing you never wonder about with Stu Baylor, if there will be interesting post-race interviews or actions. Obviously pretty happy with this one. We're going to get to hear from him in just a few moments, and he will have a lot to say. There's no question about that.
So Baylor breaks free of the hydration hose and gets ready to start celebrating. Meanwhile,
that's a sprint right there.
Yep. We pick back up on the Yamaha Racing live drone. Your XC2 points leader, the Phoenix Honda of Gus Reardon. riding against the clock. Not sure where Jack Walker's at, not sure the exact split between rows 2 and 3. So he says, you know what, we're gonna give it everything we got. Here it is, final few corners, and it will be Gus Reardon coming across the line, physically in the number 2 spot.
He's not even taking any chances, even though the scoring loop is technically there. He wanted to make sure he got all the way through the tents before he let off the throttle. Now he's going to take a look over his shoulder. You can see him taking a look, wanting to know, did I do enough? Did I do enough? Where is Jack Walker? I need to make sure I have enough distance. And here comes the next rider behind him. 2nd place in XC1, 3rd place overall. As for now, Jordan Ashburn on that Phoenix Racing Honda, and still no Jack Walker. So I think you are right, Caleb. It does appear that Gus Reardon has done enough and will be today's 2nd place overall finisher and our XC2 class winner.
So there you see the Phoenix Honda teammates breaking it down, Gus Reardon and Jordan Ashburn, after a wheel-to-wheel battle between the two of them.
This is always the part that's so interesting. You see the hand motions, you see like I was this way, he was that way, way over there, and they're telling the war stories when this one's over, and today was just that, a war.
Jordan Ashburn there across the line. You see David Eller there from the Phoenix Honda team congratulating his riders after a impressive show between the two of them.
Well, and likely also getting the news now as to where Liam Draper is at in the running order and letting him know that he will leave here today. Most likely we'll wait until Draper officially crosses the line, but with a couple more riders in, that will mean that Jordan Ashburn is your points leader headed into round number 9 and more importantly into the long summer break.
So there it is. We said Snowshoe was going to be a big one as far as the picture of the 2026 season, and it certainly has lived up to the hype.
Jack Walker has checked in 1 minute and 7 seconds behind Gus Reardon, so a big shakeup there in the final miles of racing. Jack Walker giving up quite a bit of time for right now, at least 4th place overall as we wait for Grant Baylor to check in.
So taking a look down there, I see Jackson Burrell out and about trying to get things together, and it looks like he may be standing by with the man who has gotten the job done. Your overall winner, Stu Baylor, standing by.
Check, check, check. Yes, sir, I'm standing by with the man that now owns a Snowshoe snowboard. Take us through it, Stu Baylor.
Yeah, you know, it was a frustrating day a little bit right off the bat. I just made a mistake, and I knew in the back of my mind we're swapping that tire. So I guess not frustrating, but stressful throughout the day, just knowing we've got to have that gap to do that tire. And man, it really went away there on lap 3, and I wasn't able to keep the gap that I had. So those guys closed in a good bit, but I knew if I can make it to the pits and I was anywhere close, I knew I'd have an advantage on those last 2 with a fresh tire, and that's what we did. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I led obviously most of that race and had a lot of speed. We did a lot of work this week. I think my mechanic is better than anybody at changing tires at this point. I think we went through 16 or 17 tires, 4 miles out in the woods off of a Jeep path. But yeah, we put in the work, and you know, it definitely pays off. You know, we've been if we're finishing, we're right there in the hunt. And you know, even last race, no front brakes, no clutch, issues with the bike, chips off my elbow, you know, you name it. I had a rough day and I was still in the fight. It's the best year I feel like I've personally had. Obviously those few bike issues off the beginning of the year set us back, but you know, now the goal is definitely set on the championship. I think just quick math doing it here, about 9 points down, 10 points down, which is, you know, we're back in this thing, 3 DNFs. If that's not dominance, I don't know what is. You know, wheeling, dealing, kiss, stealing, son of a gun right here. It's been hard to hold these CD boots down all day.
Oh, Stu Baylor, we questioned your tire option here today. You showed that was exactly what you needed to do up here to the top spot. How does it feel to get Snowshoe under your belt finally?
Man, this is the one. This is the one that just I never could do it. You know, we put new tracks on the circuit within 2 years. I think I've won every single one of them here in the last couple of years, and this has been the one that just takes the cake for me. And yeah, it was so frustrating just not being able to win this, coming close so many times. And I was I was just picturing the last 2 hills, you know, the spot where I gave it up to, I believe, to Jordan or Johnny one year, to Caleb one year, last year to Josh, and yeah, just in the last, literally the last mile or the last wooded section. So yeah, when I got there, I knew that we had a cushion and it was good. But yeah, the last lap, the bike actually shut off, and I just about got caught, and luckily I greased everything from there. Just took a minute to get back going, and caught a lapper and went over upside down, and yeah, it was when it wasn't starting, I was scared. But yeah, it's good to have a snowboard. Now I have a reason to learn. So I told everybody I'm not learning to snowboard until I've got one. So my wife's over here making funny faces. I knew how to ski, and that's about it. It was this race that was holding me back. So now we've got one. We're taking it down the mountain this winter.
Yeah, it sounds like it's time for a trip. But Stu, our quick math showed 9 points as well for you. What's the thought going into the summer break and then ultimately round number 10?
Man, we just got to keep working. You know, this year I told my mechanic, like, hey, we've always had a National Enduro suspension set up. You know, I'm at a position where since with the restart format of National Enduros, I'm the winningest rider there. I don't see anybody getting close to the records that I've set there in the new format, and I'm happy with where I'm at there, where I want to be as a GNCC champion. So we didn't even mess with National Enduro setup. We're running our GNCC setup year-round here, just focusing in on that. And yeah, just a lot of work with Factory Connection, and I'm sure we're going to be going visiting those guys this summer, but also getting ready for ISD, which that little bit of speed training doesn't hurt to have in the GNCCs as well. So yeah, just looking forward to a good summer, head down, and we're looking forward to those last 3.
All right, there we go, guys. Stu Baylor, your overall winner today. Time for him to head out, grab some snow, and get on that snowboard.
I told you he was going to be fired up, guys. Stu Baylor gets the job done. Like you said, this has been the one, and that ride right there is certainly something worth celebrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Great ride for him. Really just setting the pace early. He mentioned it in his interview, knowing that he needed to do that wheel swap. He wanted to have a gap, said he made a couple mistakes, and then obviously saying that tire really went away on lap number 3. He gave up a lot of that gap. The riders nearly reeled him in. They could see him just ahead of them. He went down about 25 seconds, was able to make up that gap, and then build what would ultimately come out to be about a 1:06 gap at the finish over Gus Reardon. Ultimately, Jack Walker dropping out of the top 3 with his mistakes. That will give Jordan Ashburn an extra few points, meaning that 9-point lead that Stu was referring to that he was trying to make up will actually become 12 as they head into summer break, but still very much in the fight.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Certainly still in it, and an impressive performance for the man still out front in the XC2 points and second overall here today. Jackson Burrow stands by with Gus Reardon.
Yeah, guys, I'm standing by with Angus now. Second place overall today. How does that feel? Take us through it.
It feels unreal. This hill normally kicks my ass, so I told the boys I'm going to make this hill better not say the other word, and yeah, I felt good, got off to a good start. I was last off the jump, and then I tucked up the inside, and I was second in our group, and it was sort of a big train, and I was feeling good the whole time, and then, yeah, it was one hell of a race.
It sure was, Gus, and going to be the second XC2 win in a row here, and not only that, third XC2 win in a row here, and not only that, you're going to have 2 reverse plates over at the Phoenix Honda tent now. How you feel going into this summer break? How you feel going into the final few races of the season here in a few months?
Yeah, I feel good. After my year started, I said my goal, points lead by summer break, and I've got it, and the way my year started, I'm pretty happy. It makes me confident that I've got it, and yeah, I'm a bit of a break. Might go do a few pro motocross rounds and mix it up a bit, and then come out swinging for the last 4, but 3 points pain, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, so ready to go.
I got to ask you before we let you go, you mentioned it just a little bit here. What did you think about Snowshoe here in 2026? This is one of the gnarliest races we've saw in a long, long time.
Well, as I said, I normally leave this place with my lip touching the ground and head between my legs type of thing, but I loved it this year. I had a good flow, I think, because I just started up there. I was on my feet the whole time, and yeah, I just came in with a good attitude, and yeah, I was ready to go. I was speaking to my dad and brother last night because they're back home in Australia, and my mum, and they said ride the wheels off it, so I thought I better do that and better not get an earful from them when I call them.
Oh, there we go. He rode the wheels off of it straight to a second place overall today. That is Angus Reardon.
How about it? Great job there from Gus. Like he said, walking away into summer break with that XC2 points lead. after an incredible ride here today. And yeah, sounds like you're going to maybe try to line up, do some pro moto racing over the summer, keep those skills sharp.
Yeah, no better way to spend your summer when you're off your dirt bike than being back on your dirt bike. These guys are dedicated to it, keeping the skills sharp, keeping the fire burning, and the fire was definitely burning today for Gus Reardon. We could see the intensity through the last few miles. He saw an opportunity to get the win. Obviously, with Jack Walker's miscue, we'll see if we get an opportunity to kind of check in with him and see what happened there. But dropping back to that 4th place spot overall and 2nd in XC2. But Gus had to absolutely pour the coal to it to make sure he was able to grab that win in the end.
Well, it sounds like the last rider on our overall podium, the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn, stands by with Jackson Burrell.
Yeah, guys, I'm standing by with Jordan Ashburn now. Jordan, what a day here today at Snowshoe Mountain. Take us through it from your point of view.
Man, the mountain won today. It was brutal. Just super slick conditions and super technical. And I think that PowerPoint hill was harder than it's ever been this year. Like, I was last couple laps, I'm like, man, I got to get up this thing because it was so loose. But I don't know, just Stu got away early, hit some really good lines back on the backside, and never seen him, and just kind of charged from there. And then Gus caught up, and he was right on me, and me and him pretty much railed it. He was better on the side and that was faster, and then I get him back over there, and we just kept going back and forth. So had some good racing today, and I'm pumped to come out here with a podium today. Just bumped my shoulder up last race, so it was pretty sore today. But to come out here this brutal of a track, get a couple months off, man, I'll be ready to be back strong after the break and get her done.
Like I was talking about with Angus there, going to have 2 reverse plates now over at the Phoenix Honda tent. How does that feel going into the summer break?
I think Boss Man will be happy. So, I'm pumped. It's so awesome. He was riding awesome. Man, I don't know, just I know we had a little points gap a couple races ago, and then I had a couple bad races, and I needed this rebound before the break, and I knew it was going to be a track today and kind of cater to my skill set, but man, it was absolutely brutal. I just like to thank the team and like to thank the Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for keeping me safe out here and giving me the ability to do this. And man, thanks to everybody at home watching and everybody here at the races. Garrett, my mechanic, I appreciate everything, guys.
There we go, guys. Your new points leader, Jordan Ashburn.
How about it, Jordan Ashburn back on top? And like we've talked about all season long, or all weekend long, I should say, the momentum you can build from this weekend, it does carry into those few months. Like a couple of bad rounds for Jordan Ashburn, very uncharacteristic in that 10th spot and then 13th at our last round. The guy needed to get things switched around, and he did just that, Johnny. I know he wanted that center spot, but this is some solid building momentum headed into the break.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was definitely some struggles the last 2 rounds. Sounds like he had some explanations for those, but ultimately costing a lot of points. What was a points lead turned into a points deficit, and now he's back out front. So the reverse plates belong to the Phoenix Honda Racing team for both the XC1 and XC2 class, and that's definitely pretty exciting for those guys heading into the break. Speaks volumes about the work that team's putting in, and Jordan able to rebound after a couple of bad rounds. That shows you just how bad he wants to keep himself in the fight for this 2026 championship.
No doubt about it. Well, we've talked to our overall top 3. I believe we're trying to grab at least the last of our XC1 top 3, and it sounds like the Grizzly, Grant Baylor, stands by with Jackson Pearl.
Yes, I'm standing by with Grant now. Grant, 3rd place here today in the XC1 class, coming off of a win there at our last round. A podium for you here at this one. Take us through it.
Yeah, man, it was a pretty crazy day out there. I got a really good jump off the start, and then I had the front wheel on the guys, and then I just tried to feed it on a little bit more, broke traction, and yeah, that was kind of all she wrote for the start. I went into the trails here, 5th off the line, and yeah, just those guys were. I saw KR make a couple mistakes, got by him, and then he came back by. I mean, he was ripping, and then I think something happened to his bike, started blubbering, and he waved me by, and then yeah, I kind of just hooked up with Jack Walker there, and we pretty much rode together the whole race. So yeah, just slowly picked my way up through the pack. I think I started out kind of further back, about 7th or 8th, and then worked my way up there. Towards the end, that last lap, I was still in contention for the lead. I mean, I was 30 seconds off the lead there, and then I was right there with Jack and Gus, and then Jordan was just ahead of us. And yeah, just came into the rock hill, that new rock section over there. The guy just came in there a little bit unprepared and tucked the front on the rocks, and it was a uphill section, so it took me a minute to get back going. And then yeah, that was the last lap, so I was kind of just trying to charge, get back up to Gus and those guys. I didn't lose a whole lot of time, but then we came around this F&F hill here right before the pits, and same thing, just tried to come over one of those water breaks and kind of scrub it, and I lost the front, and yeah, it fell right in the big slop hole in the F&F hill, and that actually took me a minute to get back going. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to get going up that hill, man. I was just sitting there spinning, and then finally she grabbed some traction, and off we went. But yeah, then got up to like the roadbed there, and I just stopped for a minute and took a breather because I was gassed from that first half of the hill, and then yeah, I made it up the second half clean and rode it into the finish here for third in XC1 and 5th overall. So all in all, it was a pretty sick day. It's always a good day up here on the mountain. This place treats me well every year, so yeah, it was fun.
Grant, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about tire selection here today. That was a big talk for us, and seeing that when Stu and the rest of the crew came by, we didn't see you stopping there at the pits. What was your strategy, and how did it play out for you?
Yeah, man. Really, I've tried everything here. I've tried anywhere from just a regular 51 to MX 51 with Dunlop back in the days, and then I went to the 53 after that. Trials tires back in XC2. Man, I've been on everything here. Soft compound knobbies. So yeah, I mean, just with all of my experience here at this track, man, I went with my gut on what would be the best, and something I wanted to have something that was going to dig out here in this mud because it was pretty deep out here today, deeper than the normal Snowshoe, and so I went with the MX 32 Pirelli, and yeah, man, that thing was grabbing so good all day. Honestly, I was really impressed, and then. Yeah, we ended up not doing a tire swap. That was the plan, to make it the whole race on this one, and that was a solid plan. Just I need to execute my part a little bit better, and we could be staying on the top step again.
Well, it pays off with an XC1 podium here for you today. Grant, how you feel going into this summer break and ultimately round number 10 after these last couple races?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. Just really just got to keep this thing rolling. I've had some good momentum here lately. Kind of twisted my knee up last week at the Enduro, and I've got some like loose bodies of cartilage floating around there, and I had a piece catch, and it was hung up in my knee all week, and actually, dude, it released 45 minutes before the race started today. I was in my camper just stretching the crap out of it, and it pulled loose, and man, it hurt like crap, and then started feeling better. So I was super pumped to get that thing loosened up. But yeah, just really got to keep the body good and keep this thing rolling.
There we go, guys. Your third place in the XC1 class here today, Grant Baylor.
So how about it? The Grizzly puts himself on the podium once again here at Snowshoe. And just like he said, a couple of really solid rounds for Grant headed into the summer break. But as always, we ask for a race worth coming to, a race worth the hype that's built around Snowshoe, and Snowshoe delivers.
Absolutely. I mean, today was really a barn burner from start to finish. When they were lining up, we were looking at the points, and it was the 198 of Liam Draper with that reverse number plate lining up on row number 1. And when it right off the line, it was Craig DeLong quick off the line. Stu Baylor mentioned making some mistakes early on. We really didn't see that. I mean, we saw a little bit of a mistake in Howard's hole, but nothing that cost him a ton of time. But it was Craig DeLong early on, and then Stu Baylor put in a charge, and I think it was 45 seconds-ish, 50 seconds on lap number 1, and he continued to stretch it out from there. A 1 minute and 5 second lead at one point, but the boys started charging. Stu Baylor rolling the dice, playing the gamble, running the Gumby tire, saying, hey, we scheduled ahead. My plan was to sprint, get out front, and get the gap, so we knew we had time to change it. And in the end, it panned out. But midway through the race, things got a little interesting. On lap number 3, Stu Baylor gives up a bunch of time, and we could see that Jordan Ashburn, Gus Reardon, and several others had reeled him in, could see him just in front of them. Then it was time to come through, get some hydration, and this is still lap number 2, not quite to the pit stops yet, but things were about to get interesting.
Yeah, and this is exactly when we started to ask those questions about Stu Baylor. We saw him out front, we saw him getting away, and then all of a sudden, the numbers started coming the other direction. What was happening to Stu? Why was he slowing down? But it sounds like this was part of the plan. We knew the tire was going to go away, he said, or I should say his mechanic, Cody Groves said, and we knew this was the perfect time to make that wheel swap. 52 seconds, there it is, right on cue. The Rocky Mountain Red Bear Cowley team doing a great job of getting him off and rolling. Craig DeLong takes a similar route with the Rockstar Husky crew. They lose a little bit of time, but then they gain more on the back end with that new traction.
And what was really interesting to see was how quickly Stu Baylor, this is just 4 miles later, he made up a 25-second gap, had already gotten around Gus Reardon, and was right on the rear wheel of Jordan Ashburn. Flash forward 3 miles later, Stu Baylor out front. Jordan Ashburn, you can see feet off throwing everything at it, trying to track down Stu Baylor, but Stu Baylor would ride away, ultimately taking the win. We get another view of Stu's wheel swap, and Craig DeLong again. So wheel swaps, we just wanted to make sure everybody was clear that that had gone down, and this is Stu coming down the hill again. So back to it here, and then Gus Reardon and obviously Jordan Ashburn fighting over that second place position on the podium. Later on in the race, we would see Jack Walker enter the chat as well, take over the lead in XC2 and back again to the podium position, and things would continue to develop through the final lap of racing. Stu Baylor putting it on the rear wheel, saluting the fans, and a very interesting tribute. No more bike flips, no more burnouts. Stu Baylor doing the man flip, picking up the front end of the machine, flipping it up on the rear wheel, and then Gus Reardon coming across the line for the XC2 win and second place overall, with Jordan Ashburn rounding out the overall podium and second in XC1.
So how about it just like that? I shouldn't say first three quarters really of the season are finished. We're headed into summer break, and Stu Baylor is carrying some big momentum his way into the gap, with Gus Reardon, a little bit of that momentum going his way as well. We take a look at the Rocky Mountain ATV-MC top 10. It is Stu Baylor, Gus Reardon, Jordan Ashburn, your top three. Jack Walker settles into that fourth overall spot, with the Grizzly Grant Baylor rounding out your top five. Josh Toth, Grant Davis, Josh Strang, Craig DeLong, and Ben Kelly going to round out your overall top 10 here from the 2026 Yamaha Snowshoe GNCC. Johnny, this is normally where we talk about the big takeaways. I don't just want your takeaway from Snowshoe. I want a Snowshoe takeaway and a 2026 season takeaway so far. We're headed into summer break, man. What are we thinking?
Put me on the spot. Well, I'm going to say this. For the takeaway from Snowshoe, it's that Stu Baylor is very much back in this championship fight. We had talked about it, obviously, with Liam Draper dropping through the ranks throughout the day. Ultimately, I did just turn around and check the live scoring computer. You can see behind me here, Liam Draper not finishing in the top 20. So we had him in 18th when he took the white flag. He would have earned just 3 points. That would have been enough to keep him ahead of Stu Baylor at 156 points to Stu Baylor's 154. Jordan Ashburn still another 12 points out front there in the overall championship lead. But with Liam Draper dropping out of the top 20, he will score no championship points today, which means that it will be Stu Baylor in that number 2 spot in the points, and he will be 12 points behind Jordan Ashburn. So count Stu Baylor out, and he'll prove you wrong. We talked about the inconsistency through the first several rounds. So to sum it up, my big takeaway from Snowshoe, Stu Baylor is a man on a mission. He proved it today. My big takeaway from 2026 so far, it's been chaotic at the top, and a rider that we had all but written off in the championship, not because of his ability, just because of the inconsistency and the consistent DNFs, frankly, through the first 5 rounds. He's back in the fight, only 12 points out of the championship.
No doubt about it. That's my word of 2026 so far in the XC1 Classic. Consistency. That's the big deal. Not about who can always get the good results, but who can avoid those big, bad results, like, unfortunately, we saw from your points leader here this weekend. So, Stu, very much in the fight. And then in the XC2 class, it's still wide open. Gus Reardon, a ton of momentum, not just from this round, but building up through the whole season. Didn't start the season the way he wanted, but he's hit that goal. Points lead by summer break. Him and the Phoenix Crew, they're going to go to work, going to do a little moto riding. Setback, we'll call that free time for somebody like Gus Reardon, and then he's going to come out swinging for those final few rounds. Nothing is decided. We say it all the time. It's anybody's guess. Still have several rounds of racing to go, but headed into summer break, you can't be more excited about progressive GNCC racing.
No, absolutely. It's been an incredible first 9 rounds, and we still have 4 more to go. But while we're on a break from GNCC racing, doesn't mean that we're not going to bring you some racing action here. We've got the RacerTV.com upcoming broadcast starting August 2nd at 8 a.m. all day long. Our man Zach Aaron will be there for sure, doing the Southwick GP from J-Day, and then straight from there headed to the Loretta Lynn's Motocross Amateur Nationals for a week long of racing action there, the most famous amateur national motocross racing in the world. Then over to the New York State MX Series at High Voltage Hills on August 22nd and 23rd. We'll bring you all of that action, and then back for another J-Day at Unadilla. So 2 motocross rounds there, Unadilla and Southwick. The J-Day action is heating up, and we'll bring it all to you on RacerTV.com.
No doubt about it. It's all racing all the time here at Racer TV, and it wouldn't be possible without these incredible people on your screen. A ton of thank yous to hand out. Of course, starting with our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell, OPAG, our producer, Adam Gordon, our director, Don Hampton, our replay operator, Cameron Cotter, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, and second engineer, Jack Renner, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, and our official spotter, David Hollywood Kripe. All of our our incredible camera operators, Jack Renner, Adam Atkins, Josh Hefner, Adam Arndt, Dave Kelsch, Dylan Atkins, John Carpenter, and Mike Nichols, our moto filmer, Brian Risch, and our eyes in the sky, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl. For Jackson Burrell and Johnny Gallagher, I'm Zach Herron. We'll see you next time right here on Racer TV on Flow Sports.